Yo, hi. Um, Post New Year's Milovaith here. This is a long form reaction, I guess, of the Dark Side VR Chat by Brandon FM. I had a lot of fun over the New Year's stream, and this was one of the things that we did. There's a lot of points in here that I think are fun. Yeah, enjoy.
All right, there's some things I disagree with this video about in terms of player base. Some stuff claims about the player base. I tend to have a disagreement with people who talk about VR chat. Oh, the negatives of VR chat, right? This is specifically talking about stuff with moderation and moderation. Some of the moderators of the VR chat, like Discord and stuff like this. And the reason why I actually wanted to pull it up on stream is because I think it's pretty interesting and also informs a little bit. Because it informs me a little bit and gave me some insight on a couple of the interviews. For example, I believe at around the hour mark they bring up an interview. It's just a really good video overall, and I want to bring up some counter arguments and stuff like that. So I'll just start out.
Alright, let's do this one last time. This is VRchat, the most popular VR-based application on any device. Steam, Oculus Store, you name it, VRchat is on top. At its core, VRchat is an experience built on socialization, where anything can be imported into the game using a software called Unity. Despite VRchat's age requirement of 13+, its age range is a lot wider than you might think. People who have never delved in might be shocked to learn it's not uncommon to find players in their late 20s to early 30s. Unfortunately, due to VRchat's outlook on content moderation, there are lots of disturbing things that seep through the cracks of an experience that is so immersive by design. The real question is, how is a product targeted to children this poorly moderated? And why does it remain that way, with little to no pushback?
So something I wanted to note here actually, immediately, for the poorly moderated point, I'm pretty sure I will mention this at some point in the video. VRchat has a major problem with stuff like this, or a perceived problem, right? People take the freedom or supposed freedom to basically be fucking terrible people. You see this in people I think his name is Kai or whatever. Basically a guy who's spewing a bunch of fucking anti, just racist fucking shit and trying to be a level 1 cult leader. But a big part of it, right, is that whilst they can still be permaban, moderate, they can just make another account, right? That's something that VRchat will always have a problem with, no matter how good or bad the moderation is. People always find some way to get around moderation or get around their measures. That's a little bit of a, it's a weak argument, but something I still want to put out there.
The answer isn't as obvious as you might think.
VRchat is hell. It's not meant for the age groups that it's allowed in.
What is that?
I personally think that they know the problems that it's causing, but they're just sweeping it under the rugs to, maybe keep earning more money. I hope that's not the case.
What we really want to do is we want to have a safe place for people to visit.
Can we skip all the cinematic stuff? Is that a thing we can skip?
Also, conduct that is illegal involving
this shit
is illegal regardless of whether it happens in person or online.
Brother, you're very helpful.
You're welcome. This really
I'll just
is a
keep it going.
warning for parents because
like
the
fucking-
mother, she was saying how her son was talking to this guy through a video game in Oculus.
Itself has almost become less of a platform for community and more of a platform for dating.
I'm a mom whose daughter almost killed herself.
Certainly parents need to be aware of this.
Man, these kids are so excited to get into VR, but they don't.
Bro, this guy. Wait, no. Bro, I fucking hate this guy's videos. Oh my god. I think what he does is really good. I think he should continue doing it, but like, I swear to God, this is just an honest criticism. I don't want to watch his videos because of like all like the cringe shit, like how he produces it. Like, I think his message is good. I think what he does is good. I think his like execution is just so fucking bad. It's like seeping with like pretension and like what's the fucking? It's just really cringe to watch. I can't watch it for more than like 5 minutes without like rolling my eyes. You'll see what I mean.
Don't even know the dangers of its biggest application. This is wild to me, bro.
They need like moderators or something.
When I say 18 plus, you're gonna walk in there and expect to see people that are essentially nude or like.
Sadly, this type of communication and grooming and enticement is more common than you'd think.
Honestly, I would love if VRchat would just get completely demolished and taken off the face of this earth. It would be great. Realistically,
If lawyers can prove that the companies are directly marketing illegal activities to children, they can be held liable, and that's something that we're seeing in these new cases that have been filed.
In 2021, the virtual reality social platform VRchat was valued at $320 to $480 million US.
Like, I understand why they were doing it this way, but like, I feel like you can do it in a way that like gets to the point a lot faster. Like, notice we're already like 3 minutes in the video, and not a singular thing has been said other than like vague allusions to problems. This isn't like a distraction to the video at all. I think the video is still really good, as I said before. It's just like a minor critique.
In 2023, it could very well be the most harmful platform for children to join on the clear web. These two statements are more correlated than you might think. From the absence of moderation to the people who develop and shape the experience, all the way to the CEO and founders. How we got to the point of sex dungeons.
I'm gonna probably be in and out a bit, so don't wait on me. I'm just doing stuff.
Alrighty, I'm gonna continue then.
Gotcha.
Nice seeing you, though.
Cults, strip clubs, drinking culture, real-world kidnappings, and thousands of predators in a game marketed to 13-year-old children is not random. And today, we have the stats and evidence to prove it.
I just
could
wanted to
do
pause
that
this.
alone-
Yeah, what's up?
So this is just gonna be modern day 4chan.
Nah, dude. It's a lot. I have a lot of disagreements and a lot of agreements with this video. I'm gonna be honest with you. So it's gonna be a little bit more interesting. I hope. Like, something about this, like this beginning segment specifically. Oh, VRchat is the most harmful things for kids on like the clear web, stuff like this. You can probably make a very similar argument with like stuff like Roblox if you're aware of like the condo problem and shit with that. It's like it's very interesting. It's like I get why they're doing it. It's like to build like the vibe, but I don't know.
You'd be sorely mistaken. This is Verum, a self-described virtual reality vigilante who operates within VRchat to clean up its play.
Have you ever watched like Mama Max or like somebody like that? Like Mama Max is like a big inspiration to this guy. Same with CoffeeZilla, another huge inspiration. You can just see it in his editing all over the place. And once you see it, you can't like
Player-based, one predator at a time. He holds files upon files of recorded conversations on anyone who gives him the slightest bit of discomfort. Hey man, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. You ready to
I'm
get
so
this
glad
show
we
on
didn't
the
give him
road?
much screen time.
Alright, where should we start?
Finally.
Well,
I'm just
back
impatient.
in March of 2023, a guy named Joseph sent me an email about doing a 1,000 player VR chat study. Fast forward to August 23rd, and after hundreds of hours, 1,000 conversations, and a data sheet full of 78 questions, thanks to Joseph, we now have our hands on the largest VR chat study ever.
Something about this study before we continued. When I first watched this, I was watching it with Vale. We could not find this study anywhere on the internet, and he does not link it anywhere. So all the numbers they says you have is zero way. You just have to trust the video's word, which I'm not a particular fan of. I could be wrong in saying that it's not online anywhere, but we looked for like a solid 20 minutes and could not find it at all.
Conducted, and the results are worse than we initially thought. So let's get into it. First of all, it's important to highlight the parameters of this study to avoid any concerns about it being an illegitimate experiment.
Every person interviewed throughout this process was sourced from the most popular VR chat worlds.
Joseph would world hop from lobby to lobby and ask people if they would like to partake in the survey.
From there, Joseph would interview them in a private world until all 78 questions were answered.
That way, Joseph would end up with the most diverse group of people to partake in the study.
Joseph did not enter any group-specific worlds that could possibly skew the results.
The data that you're about to see is representative of the general VR chat player base.
So, let's take a look, shall we?
When asked, are you addicted?
Yeah, I yet again, I just have to fucking say, it's a very, I wouldn't say small sample size, but it's okay. This is okay. My main concern is just nowhere is this in anything. It's you can't find it on the internet. I welcome anybody to try. He has the name of the person who conducted the study. All of it is just not a thing whatsoever on the internet anyway. So for me anyway, I feel like I have to take this for a grain of salt. I think it has maybe some weight in some regard, but I'm not sure how big of a weight it would have.
Addicted to VR
That makes
chat.
sense.
88% of people said yes. When asked, have you ever put VR chat over your own needs? 42% said yes. When asked, has VR chat ever made you feel depressed? 59% said yes.
When asked, has VR chat made you feel lonely? 76% said yes. And in case you thought it couldn't get any more depressing than that, when asked the follow-up question, do you think if you left VR chat, you would feel more lonely than if you stayed? 66% of people still said yes.
When asked, have you ever been diagnosed with a mental illness? 74% said yes.
When asked if VR chat ever caused suicidal thoughts, a disturbing 31% said yes, and 2% declined to answer.
What was that? What was the point of that? Wait, I didn't notice that the first time watching.
31% said yes, and 2% declined to answer.
What the fuck? Why? What was the point of that? But okay.
VR chat is hell. It's not meant for the age groups that it's allowed in.
Yeah, so this is another thing. This is what I'm gonna bring up again. I'm gonna bring it up again because I'm annoying. This is the researcher's name, Joseph S. You can look up Joseph S. VR chat researcher. 1,000 person survey. Nothing will show up. We went through almost every way we can look that up. Not a single one worked. Not a single one popped. I'm not saying this is not real. Very well could be real. I just don't know. and there hasn't been anything to say otherwise for me anyway.
It exposes itself to people who are desperate. VRChat draws people in a special way
Not the growl side.
that I would
Oh no.
compare to drugs. It's an addiction at heart. People won't stop. They can't stop. They love it because VRChat itself has almost become less of a platform for community and more of a platform for dating. And I think this is where that line gets absolutely shattered.
The quote, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with," applies to the VRchat player base just as much as it applies to you. The culture and nature of VRchat has attracted a certain type of user, and unfortunately, newer players will either conform to that lifestyle or reject it, leaving the platform altogether. This is why the majority of VRchat's player base suffers from mental illness and loneliness. Many people get attached to VRchat as a solution to some of their problems, but statistically, it ends up resulting in them finding other people suffering from the same thing.
I don't. I think it's a lot more complicated. Like, I agree with the assertion that okay, people play VRchat to fill some form of void. This is like a big thing when we're talking about anything that brings somebody in. You're obviously filling a need that a player needs. For VRchat, that would be social interaction, right? So it would be logical to say that most people who play VRchat are then subsequently more lonely on average, right? That would make sense. But to say that they're lonely because of VRchat, I'm gonna rewatch this real quick because I may be losing the plot. Hold on.
Will get leaving the platform has of the 5 people a certain type of user, and unfortunately, newer players will either conform to that lifestyle or reject it.
This is the part I have a very hard disagreement on, because what do you see when you join a VRchat world, right? Say you opened up VRchat right now, what do you see, right? Depending on what world you go to, you might see some people who are engaging in debauchery. You might see a black hat that's filled with a bunch of bullshit, right? There isn't one set VRchat thing. It's just it's an open platform, and to say that it's anything but is sort of cringe. Anybody can interact with this game in any kind of way it wants. It's the way VRchat is built on that. You can block anybody you want. You can mute anybody you want. You can join any worlds you want. You can create any groups you want, right? So to say, I disagree with this pretty heavily.
Leaving the platform altogether. This is why the majority of VRchat's player base suffers from mental illness and loneliness. Many people get attached to VRchat as a solution to some of their problems, but statistically, it ends up resulting in them finding other people suffering from the same things. VRchat is not a fix, it's a cope. 46% of people admitted they drink in VRchat, and 31% of people admitted to taking drugs. What's even worse is when asked if VRchat's culture encourages users to drink, 83% of people said yes. 51% of people admitted they commonly sleep in VRchat. 97% of people said they had been harassed in VRchat. 62.
That stat is actually really interesting. The 97%. When you say harass, what do you mean, right? Is it just some random fucking walking up to you and saying a mildly rude thing? I would argue that maybe the people being I would say most people would say, yeah, that's harassment. I've been harassed on VRchat. I feel like most people has had that experience in some way, shape, or form. But that just a thing with the internet. It's all right, I'm going to go into a black op lobby. Black op lobby. What the fuck am I gonna do? Not you're gonna get fucking yelled at. You're gonna bro. I play a game of ranked League of Legends. What do you expect? One mistake, you're fucked, right?
2% of people
you're gonna get flamed in
said
some
they
way.
had sexual advances made towards them on VRchat.
I just find that sort of weird. Is it really this entire statistic part? I feel is the weakest part of the entire video, because they don't have the numbers public So you just have to take their word on it. And this random guy that is supposedly a researcher
claim that they use VR chat in a healthy.
Yeah, what's up?
On top of that, you don't know what kind of research they're doing. They're just giving you what literally just the end point. I could literally go out and find 5 random people and ask them if they like soda, and if 4 out of 5 people say that, I can go like, well, out of my research, 4 out of 5 Americans drink soda.
Yeah, so how they did it is they went to non-group public worlds in a variety of public worlds and pulled people from there and asked them 76 questions from a yes or no. I don't know how they did that. I don't like I wish I had that. I wish I had the paper to look at or had the stats to look at or the recordings to look at, you know?
On top of that, we're gonna assume that less than 5%. I'm gonna be generous with a 5% margin of error here. We're gonna assume less than 5% of people on VR chat would not troll this questionnaire.
Yeah, there's a lot of like question marks here. I feel like this is the weakest part of the video by far. I think there is really solid points, especially with the moderation and like creators of the game that comes up later.
These results are shocking. The numbers paint a much needed, clearer picture of the current state of VR chat. And that picture is...
It's a goddamn travesty.
So, as we move up the ladder of people responsible for crafting VR chat's core terms of service and mechanics,
I hate Verum so much. It's not even a content thing. It's not even a content thing. I just hate the way he talks. He does great work.
In mind.
And if you forget, don't worry. We'll make sure to remind you.
If you're not convinced there's a problem yet, we're just getting started.
As VR chat's player base grows year by year, the creations made by the users get larger and larger.
It's way larger than 50,000. The number is more like 110. That's a nitpick. That's a nitpick. I'm sorry.
Of what VR chat could be becomes impossible to fully envision.
I do the exact same thing in my shit.
What is the limit for a platform with this culture? And how does VR chat moderate it? If they could effectively moderate it better than its current state, would they? The fact that that is even a question we have to ask shows how deep this rabbit hole goes.
Probably the one that I didn't expect to.
I'm going to do a little bit of preempting here because I find it necessary. There's 2 things. Firstly, they're already doing a little bit. They introduced, I think, when was this video made? Oh, it was made in June. When were group publics introduced? Do you remember? I'm looking this up. Group publics. When were they introduced? VR chat introduction.
I want to say 2021.
That's what I'm saying. Like, group publics do a lot to moderate a lobby. You'd be surprised. You can argue, oh, there's like moderation abuse in these group publics, but like, it's still like
moderation
some
abuse everywhere. First off.
Especially the user moderated things, but like that's besides the point. Like with group publics, and I'm not sure how like up to date you are with this kind of stuff, but like recently, that like as in like 2 months ago, they added age verification stuff that literally requires ID and the face photo. So
to be so volatile was the mental disorder diagnosis,
and you can allow like 18 plus instances that require age verification.
So 74% is a pretty high number, way higher than I would have expected it.
Stuff, not
yeah.
But if it's literally for 18 plus stuff, I have to show my ID if I want to buy alcohol, if I want to buy porn, and if I want to rent a car. Those are all adult activities.
So
some
like
more immoral than others.
So this entire video is like very much like a call out on like VR chat moderation and stuff like that. And like before this point, before age verification, I will say there was a huge reputational loss of VR chat because there's a lot of like pedos getting exposed through VR chat and a lot of like harm being done. I'm not saying that isn't happening. So it was very good that they started doing this kind of shit, but like
this is the
like same shit happens on Discord. and it's
Official VRchat
all very
Discord server,
questionable.
home to over 300,000 users. This implausibly large number starts to make sense when you understand
We'll see if
the
we
affinity
still agree
in
with
which
that.
these two platforms operate with each other. The VRchat Discord server has multiple moderators to make sure things don't get out of hand in the text and voice channels. One of those moderators goes by the name Sitbox.
Well, I never thought I'd be making a video like this, but thank you all so much for 1,000 subscribers. Never thought in a million years I would even make it to a milestone like this.
Some time ago, I
I'm
received
gonna make
a
like
folder from an
I'm gonna make one of those like
viewer.
meme subscriber celebration videos. Like, thank you for like 80 subscribers, man. This is like my dream come true. Just that's like a shit post. I think that would be fun.
And that folder contained some
really
files that painted a grim reality of Sitbox's double life.
Sitbox's chat history in the official VRchat Discord server paints a
it's
clear
based.
picture. A picture of a
I'm a
moderator
porn
that
artist.
cares about keeping
I eat
VRchat a
cereal.
safe place, regularly disavowing NSFW content, and guiding players away from the degenerate side of the platform he knows is so prominent.
Sure, buddy.
Sure, yeah, sure, pal.
Sure, buddy.
Yeah, this specific section I find is really solid because it's nail and coffin. They show most of.
But before we delve into
They
Sitbox's
show
dark
most of their
secrets,
shit.
we first need to talk about a prevailing theme that came up
You'll see what
during
I
this
mean.
investigation. Lolicon.
To quote Mr. Krabs,
The modern
"The milk
incarnation
is
of
always
lolicon
right."
in Western culture is usually described as a genre of drawn Japanese
Aye,
art
man.
that depicts young girls in a sexually suggestive or
The
erotic
age of
manner.
40 is in high
Enjoyers
demand.
of this content will claim there is nothing wrong
Bro,
with
if
consuming
they
it
aren't
due to the
gilfs, I'm
fact that
walking,
it's an
dog. I'm sorry,
illustrated
babe.
drawing
I'm
of a
sorry.
fictional character and not a
You
real
agree with
child.
me?
I do.
While this
I'm not
content
calling
is
you babe,
obviously
am I?
not as harmful as real-life CP, since there is no inherent victim of abuse,
Brother.
many people assume there is a direct link between pedophilia and lolicon, as the only differences between the two is fiction and ink.
Yeah, you're gonna have to they're gonna have to prove the correlation here, and I just want to point that out. I think
Meanwhile, the
I don't think they do it
characteristics
that
and
well,
sentiment
to be honest, but
remain
it gets
similar.
the general point across
Lolicon
in
culture
terms
burst its
of
way into VRchat in a big way, which has now led to
like
an
moderation,
even more
like
legal
being
and
hypocritical and
moral
all this
grey
kind of
area.
stuff.
It's
like
no
sort
longer
of
just a naked drawing of a
fucked
character
up.
that looks like a child, but instead a human being embodying and controlling
Yo.
Yo.
the actions of a now naked childlike avatar. The difficulties of discussing a topic like
I
this.
bro,
is
I
the
love
fact
videos
there
like this.
is
This is the bro. I
no
love videos like
legal
that.
right
Have
or
you seen like
wrong
Chris
answer.
Quit's
And
reality
no
where
real
it's like
studies
really
point
erotic
towards
dance?
a
It's just
conclusion
but
on if
you see
lolicon
his full
leads to the
body. It is
normalization of
like
pedophilia.
middle-aged, like
While the average
like
person's
sort of fat body
immediate
doing it.
reaction
It's
to
really
lolicon
funny.
is disgust, consumers of the content will claim the fictional age of the character is over the age of 18, despite their features looking like the embodiment of an 11-year-old. To which the logical response would be, if it looks like a duck, swims like a duck, and quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck.
Brandon, obviously, any sane person can see that a person who spends their day liking sexual drawings of children is a fucking creep. But let's keep things on track and get back to Sitbox, shall we?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I feel
you're
like
probably
their
right.
language here is actually really careful. Like, I think it's like correct to call them a creep and not a pedo. Like, I feel like people make that
Tell
mistake
them what
a
you
lot.
found in the Google Drive.
Upon opening the folder, I was shocked at the contents
Yeah,
within.
it's certainly creepy, but it's
Images
not
from a
pedophile.
kid
Like being a
of Sitbox
pedophile, you
committing
know?
sexual acts in
It's
VR
illegal
chat
to- it's not
while
illegal to
wearing a
drink
new
more range at the
version
bottom
of
of
his
that
avatar.
It's not
If these
illegal. It's
screenshots
not
and
illegal
vid
to
were
drink
real,
this.
it would mean that Sitbox is playing out his fantasy of having sex as a lolly in virtual reality. A stark departure from the crude demeanor he displayed in the official VRchat
What the
Discord
fuck?
server over the months of moderating it.
I got a bad feeling about this.
It was clear we had to do some digging. The disturbing GIFs and screenshots were not concrete proof of Sitbox's degenerate double life. People are notoriously good at Photoshop nowadays, so we had to make sure it was
Real.
him. Sure, we knew for a fact Sitbox dressed up like a lolly, but we still had to figure out if he was attracted to them. So we went on his Twitter.
This is a genuine question. Would he consider like a Rindo avatar a lolly?
Who?
So Rindos are like this, like sort of anime adjacent. It's sort of similar to this, a little bit more like jagged, like same body shape, all that. But like most people don't. I don't think most people think of that as a lolly. Like I don't know. It's really like technical, like in the weeds kind of stuff. It's just like a genuine question I have.
On Sitbox's
I don't know if you would consider like a Rindo.
Like,
here, actually. Here.
It looks like a child, then treated as a child.
Yeah. This is what a Rindo is right here. Like what do you consider this a lolicon?
I mean, no, because they don't like lollies.
It depends on.
Or would you call it a lolly? My bad. My bad. My bad.
Get the terminology right with with an autistic person.
My bad. My bad. Would you call this like a lolicon? No, sorry, lolly. My bad. My bad.
I mean, she looks like she's in her 20s. I mean, I'm bad at judging age, though.
I mean, fair game, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, I've heard women in their 40s. What's your point, Doc?
I don't know. I'm just like curious if he would consider that kind of stuff like a lolly as well.
1,500 tweets.
I don't know. It's like a really.
And after going through every single one,
I don't like it.
what I found solidified Sitbox's sexual attraction to lollies. This type of content is going to be a recurring theme throughout this documentary, so I feel like now is a good time to lay out a censoring system. What you're seeing on the screen are images Sitbox has liked on Twitter. The images censored
lollies
in
are
black
like guns.
sexually
You heard it here
suggestive
first,
images,
boys.
while the images censored in red are explicit nude images. Please keep this censoring system in mind as we delve further into this documentary.
Hand cannon goes brain chemicals burn.
If you thought this degenerate couldn't get any more depraved, through sheer coincidence, one night while world hopping, I randomly found Sitbox in a club world, cuddled up to a user that seemed to be moaning in public.
It's the man, the myth, the legend.
But I'll see about it. But the thing is, if I go over there, I have to start a proper job. I tell every one of my friends.
Minutes later, I see Sitbox kissing up on yet a
I
different
feel like they could have
user
like
in that
censored that.
same
That's a nitpick
instance.
though. Nitpick.
Dude, every time I look at Twitter, it's like some new news.
Bro, I like nitpicking. Okay, leave me alone. It's fun.
Like a book club Discord server.
Good girl. I kind of want to bounce from here. What about you?
Brother.
It's exactly my username with a capital P and a capital
Both of my controllers are on about 4% battery at this point.
You're cute. I hope to see you around more.
Like you get
If you ever want to chill, I'm on fairly often.
No, I was like floating while I was running.
Weird.
It was weird.
Okay.
No, I don't know that I've ever.
Love to.
That's weird.
That's bottom behavior right there. Holy shit.
That's a tough watch.
Brother, I've never been on the top.
Alright, pal. Alright, pal.
The evidence of Sitbox's double life did not stop there. It was time to utilize the Ripper Store. A now defunct website
Wait,
dedicated.
didn't they said this was like a club world?
Yeah.
Where that was recorded?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's cringe that it's public. At least it's like, most of the time those things are like 18 plus, no?
Especially if it's a club.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, that's why I was asking.
I've never played VRchat in my entire life and only looked up VR videos on certain websites.
Yeah, so there's two things with the clubs, right? They basically ask like age and date of birth, and most of the time you can lie to get around that, but most of the time, like, if you go to like one of these like smaller clubs, like the one in that video, like, nobody's going in there with no fucking 13-year-olds getting in there. 'Cause it's very obvious that they're 13, you know?
to uploading VRchat players' private avatars
there's
to the public.
there's a effort. So like behavior like that is more understandable. It's a bit cringe to be in public. It's more understandable.
A morally
than that, in my
ambiguous
opinion.
and controversial service, which inevitably led to it shutting down.
What the fuck?
After a long session of looking through all the Unity avatars that made up Sitbox's large collection, there were two that stood out among the rest. Physically, both avatars looked the same, with the main difference being the thumbnail and title for each upload. However, digging into the details of each avatar's Unity assets shows us Sitbox added some personal touches to both of these creations. On the avatar titled Sitbox-Extra, under the hip section, we can see there is an asset titled Nice Yeah. And on the avatar titled Fun Smiley Face, there is a genitalia asset combined with something called DPS.
You're not gonna explain what DPS is? You're not gonna explain what DPS is? Your video is already 2 hours long. What the fuck?
You do not need to explain it.
Some videos do. Whatever. Alrighty. Have fun, man.
After verifying that
Happy New
Sitbox
Year's.
did indeed add genitals to his personal avatar by ripping the files and uploading them to a burner account, the legitimacy of the
You looked
original
at his virtual
screenshots
cock.
felt confirmed. We had discovered Sitbox's lust for lollies through his Twitter likes, witnessed him try to seduce a player live in-game, and found lolly avatars that went...
Okay, I should note all of this on its own isn't like crazy, right? This isn't like crazy behavior. The problem is that like as a moderator, he's saying NSFW on VRchat isn't allowed, and he's doing this, right?
fully nude, with intricate systems
yeah,
attached to
gotta
his
clarify
genitalia,
the point.
uploaded to his own VRchat account. The Sitbox case was solved, at least for now.
Yeah, but let's not skip too
Yeah.
far ahead. We have a lot to go through. We haven't even mentioned F. Paul yet.
Oh yeah, you're
I think
right.
in some videos he does.
Much
I wish
like
he did that more.
Sitbox, F-Pol also helps moderate the official VRchat Discord server, and also seems to have a deep affinity for lollies. Except he's a lot more open about his than others, even in the very server he moderates for.
Deep affinity for lollies.
Hey, they just like lollies, bro.
Here are some screenshots of F-Pol partaking in some discourse about lollies in the
Yeah.
VRchat general chat.
Holy shit.
Tone is a difficult thing to discern when looking into text conversations.
The lolly connoisseur.
However,
Oh
even
my.
if all of this is just a joke, joking about sexual drawings of children suddenly doesn't become very funny once we look outside the screen.
Being some Japanese word, not connoisseur.
Oh yeah.
In this image, posted by F-Pol himself, we get a glimpse into his bedroom.
To no one's surprise, this guy had not one, but 3 anime body pillows depicting little girls in his bed. And one of the pillows happens to be his VRchat avatar. What a
Another day
loser.
thanking God.
F-Pol's Twitter also gives us an insight into how he likes to spend his money, as he seems to regularly commission
07
art of
soldier.
his personal lolly persona in some interesting positions.
The same age as me.
Actually real. So real.
Not my fault they made women over 40 hot.
I think that's a you problem, bud.
I think that's a yeah. I do not remember this segment. Is this just NSFW's VRchat avatar? Oh,
Yep.
Yep.
Why did I have to see this?
This seems like some shit piss
Oh,
would commission.
and would you look at that?
The 2 lolly
You're just throwing her under the bus right now. What the
What
fuck?
a surprise. Such good friends that F-Pol decided to commission this disturbingly intimate art of their 2 lolly
Yeah, maybe like
personas
a of
wrestling
age
on the floor.
avatar OC. Yeah, for
I
sure.
mean, it
1
makes
million
sense.
%.
Like minds attract, right? But geez, this
Why didn't Noob
is
just say it'll be a
sickening.
long time before you ever
F-Pol and Sitbox are at the
He's-
bottom
he's,
of the food
moving,
chain
yeah,
in
he's
the
moving.
VRchat ecosystem. 2 desperate people who moderate VRchat's Discord server seemingly for free, fueled by their love of the experiences the platform provides them. Experiences that should be very clear by now. If there is one thing I learned from looking into these 2, It's the fact that VRchat has ushered in a new way for these people to indulge in lolly content. And unfortunately, it's becoming normalized within the VRchat culture. However, the Sitbox rabbit hole in particular goes much deeper. He ended up being a much larger...
Here's a question. If you completely removed this kind of stuff from the platform, where would it go? Is there any other alternatives?
Probably just back to like when you say where would it go, are you including specifically the VR part of it or the general?
The player base and the player base and avatars.
Oh. To be honest, they'd probably just find ways around it because right now VRchat kind of has a monopoly on that. There is one competitor, but it's like not quite there yet in terms of stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they have actual moderation and approval processes for avatars.
Yeah, fair enough.
Like they would honestly just find ways around it one way or another, I'd imagine.
Fair enough.
In our
like I think with this stuff, like you see this shit with like the EAC, right? Back in like I think it was 2020 when hackers were like a big problem. No, easy anti-cheat. Like people just found a way around that. With like, I'm curious. Like it's definitely dampened. Like, I'm not gonna say it's not dampened.
Investing.
Like I'm curious like how much the overarching like how much can the moderation team do about this, right? You can say that like, oh, they should have like they should do more about this, whatever, right? What can they do? like that's a like I don't know if they can really.
Investigation. But in order to understand the bigger picture, we first need to take a much more personal look into VRchat's victims.
Oh yeah, anecdotes.
I'm gonna go take a piss.
Without me,
Bro, can I hear the audio?
If anyone...
He looks like he's just like read like 3 chapters of like Harry Potter.
I think she's all that because of it.
Yeah, exactly. He like has a big head. It's like, bro, I just finished reading Sorcerer's Stone. Bro, looks like he's like a fucking dungeon master for like a 5-year long running D&D campaign. I lied. He looks like the stereotypical nerd emoji. Bro, if you grew his teeth like 2 times the size, he has the proportion to become the nerd emoji, just white.
One can help me figure out how to use Streamlabs OBS with the Oculus Quest 2 to where the frame rate is not buggy. That would be really appreciated. Thank you.
Hi, this is John, and today we're gonna see him do this. Ready, set, go!
I just want to say thank you to everybody. We just hit 101 subscribers. Thank you so much. I love you guys.
This is Hayden Davis. In the majority of the clips you just watched, he was 16 years old. However, our story with Hayden begins when he was 17, after he took a liking to a 12-year-old girl he met
I mean,
on
you're free to
VRchat.
invite whoever.
A relationship he would continue to obsess over, even after becoming a legal adult. We've shown you the stats, and now, we take a look behind the numbers at one of the most heartbreaking stories I've ever come across while investigating VRchat.
I've sort of grown as a person and understood
Yeah,
that
I'm a legal
YouTube is
adult.
something
How can you
you can
tell?
take seriously, but also you can take as a joke. This is kind of what I'd like to do for my life.
On the 11th of January 2023, a mother named Eliza DM'd me on Twitter, explaining her daughter's experience with VRchat. Later that year in December, I invited Eliza to a Zoom call in hopes
I mean, the
of
guy
learning
has made
more about the
VRchat videos in the
situation.
past, so he has like
I left that call feeling less optimistic on
people
VRchat
have like
and
an
the legal system
a reason
than
to
ever
share their
before.
story or whatever.
But before we delve into what happened, we first need to give some backstory on Eliza's daughter's mental state before her VRchat experience. So, for the sake of anonymity, going forward, we'll call her Amelia. Amelia would visit the ER twice at 11 years old after a how to commit suicide book was passed around her school, which heavily affected her mentally. Around this time, she would also become extremely depressed. Following these events, less than a year later, at 12 years old, Amelia would have her first experience with virtual reality.
And
I like how they found like the most like childlike avatar they could find.
She was like socializing with people. She had no friends anymore.
You know, she was probably wearing like some e-girl shit.
You know, she spent a lot of time on that thing. I've been in
like
VR
I want to be like the others,
before,
you know?
and I'm like, this is super
As a child.
boring. Like no one's here. And you know, even looking around, it's just like, okay, people just talk to each other. This is just weird and boring. But I don't know how she stumbled across
I think you're
the
self-reporting,
rooms
bud.
that she did, or the people, or if she met him and then he took her in there. I don't know. Like the Oculus sits in my closet, and really I should just get rid of it because it's such a painful reminder of everything we went through. But yeah, she just can't even look at it anymore.
Amelia found comfort in VR chat, as she no longer
I don't want to
had
shit
any
on this
school
segment
friends.
because it's
But
honestly awful what
unfortunately,
happened. It was like,
because Amelia
in
was
no
in a
universe am I
vulnerable
going to say
state,
it's not,
it
right?
meant she was susceptible
But,
to
like,
the vast amounts of predators that
like,
populate VR chat. And
what
it
this
wasn't
adds
long
to the video
before
is,
she
like,
met a user that went by the name
oh,
Silver
predatory
Lining
actions
05,
exists.
aka Hayden Davis.
Cool.
A person she would
You
spend
know?
a lot of time with over the coming weeks.
They spend like 20, not
Did
20,
she
like
meet this
15
person
minutes
through
on it.
VR?
Yeah. I know they were doing things on VR. There's certain rooms, I guess.
Like its entire purpose is to like to
together,
personalize and make you feel
but she
grossed
didn't
out.
really talk about that, and I'm not going to push her, you know, to talk about something that she's not comfortable with.
I'm sorry.
But yeah, I didn't know about that side of VR.
I'm confused why you're saying that.
The more the two hung out on VR chat, the closer they got. At the time, Hayden was 17
Were you predatory?
and
I'm
Amelia
sorry.
was 12.
No, I am not predatory.
But from the looks of things, the two
Towards
were
the
a part of a
MILFs?
larger friendship group that played VR
They're like,
chat together.
like staring in their
After
closets,
Hayden
like,
added Amelia
hey,
onto
honey,
his
what did I
he
come
started
back
to
to?
isolate her from the rest of the group.
Yeah, boy.
During which he admitted
That's
to
loud
having
as fuck.
feelings
I
for
think
her.
that's cool.
The two would
Mil, if you
actually
ever come
start an
home from
online
work one day, I'm
relationship
just
together,
in your
where they would
closet, what
often
do you
talk on
think?
Discord and meet up regularly.
I'm
Finally,
stabbing
I
you.
haven't had sex in 4 years.
This is where the abuse
Valid.
began.
My husband was
For
out of
legal
town,
reasons, that's a joke.
and
It's
she was
not.
sitting at the
Yeah,
table,
it's
and
gonna
she just
happen.
wouldn't stop cussing me out. And I was like, "What is wrong with
I
you?"
love dark chocolate
And
so much.
she just got this
As
like
much as you
blank
love
look on her
dark
face,
humor.
and she stood up.
I don't really like dark
And I
humor
was
that
like,
much.
Unfortunate.
"Oh no!" Like I've seen this look before.
Don't get me wrong, I
And
like
she
dark
took
humor
off
when
the
it's
big
good.
gun, and she was gonna go.
No, don't get me
grab
wrong,
her
I like
and
dark
slit her
humor,
throat.
just not like when it's shit.
So I had
And
my
most
other daughter
people
call 911,
tell shit dark humor.
and they put her in the hospital.
Wasn't it
And
funny?
Is that point, it's not
really
funny.
her story of
Like at that
all
point,
of
it's
this
not funny. It's
begins
just annoying.
because
Like
when
it's
she was in the
humor. It has to make
hospital,
me
she
laugh.
kept telling the doctors, like, I don't want to go home. I don't feel safe at home. And I was like, that's weird, because you know we have a great house and
Did you hear what I said
a
about
great
this segment,
household
by the
and
way, Val?
family and everything.
I remember what you said last time we
And she just
watched
kept
it.
saying this over
It like
and over and
adds
over.
nothing.
And
right?
I was just
Oh, I said the exact same
racking
thing.
my
Yeah,
brain trying to figure
basically.
out what is wrong.
It really does add nothing.
And one night I was like couldn't sleep, and I came on YouTube, and right there on YouTube was your video. It was a recommended video, and I was like, she plays the VR. This is weird. So I watched it, and like my heart sank. And I was
VR.
like,
Bro, she plays
at
the
end of that
Nintendo.
video. And
Unfortunate.
I pulled up
I shouldn't be
her
making jokes, I'm
tablet
sorry.
and opened up the tablet, and I was like, okay, there's nothing on here, but I know you had said something in your video about Discord. So I downloaded Discord, and it was just terrible. It was like just really bad.
What we're about to go through are some of the messages that Hayden sent to Amelia during their online relationship. For the sake of this video, I will mainly be using screenshots of these messages and removing any unnecessary responses that Amelia sent, because as you will see, context in these messages become unimportant very quickly. With that being said, the screenshots I'm going to use have been directly sourced from multiple screen recordings Eliza sent to me directly, so I can verify
I said
that
this to
these
Professor,
messages
but
are
like
real
the entire like
and were sent
point
to her
of this,
daughter
it's like
by Hayden
personalize it
Davis.
and like gross you out
Many
basically.
viewers
But
may find these
overall, all it's
messages
saying is that predatory shit exists. Period. Full stop.
Yes.
Like, I feel like anybody would know that if they like played any social app whatsoever, right?
Would you want to give
Humans
it a try?
are innately horrible.
I'm so confused.
Not innately,
you like
but
me?
it exists almost everywhere you go.
Okay.
I'm asking, what if one of us started to like the other person?
I don't know.
Would you want to date if that happened?
Sure, I guess.
Even though I'm 5 years ahead of you.
I need him like panting a little bit more. Like I want to hear him
I'm trying to
pant.
calm down from a panic attack right now, so yeah.
Like, hey baby girl, hey 12-year-old kid, like, bro, that's what I want to hear.
It's gonna have to be between us because people won't like it.
I really need to stop joking this. Actually, like, I really. This is serious talk,
it.
boys.
Lol. Thank you.
I had a dream we met up in real life. We watched Netflix, then cuddled.
Aw, I wish.
But I didn't to you last night, and I thought of some amazing things we'd be able to do when I came. If I was your stepbrother,
Just like imagine if he was panting during this section, like unhinged. Like that would like be so much more.
I love you so much.
Love you too.
I will never hurt you.
I'll never hurt you either.
Get some sleep, babe.
What the fuck?
I love you. Good night.
Wait, is her mom
Sweet
British?
Dreams. Don't let
Or did they just
bedbugs
make her
bite.
British?
Also, if you imagine I'm there with you, but good night. I love you so much, baby.
Yeah. Wait, I want to hear her
As
mom
we
again.
dig
Are they
deeper
actually
into the
British?
two's Discord conversation,
Or did they just make her British?
it becomes
I'm
more
pretty sure they
clear
just
the
made
role
them British.
VRchat played in their
I'll be honest.
relationship.
Well, I have to find my retainer that I lost. It's $1,000 and I can't find it anywhere. My dad said find it before I can go on VRchat, so it might take me a bit.
I will happily do so. I'm happy I asked you out. I was worried you'd be grossed out by a 17-year-old asking you out, so I was afraid, but I'm happy you said yes. Sweet dreams. I'ma try to
Like you
figure
get
out
a
how
very
to make
much
an
like
avatar
gotten the
real
same
quick.
point across by doing like something like I understand why you want to call out this specific
When
guy
you
because this is
get VR
absolutely
back,
disgusting.
We're
But
gonna watch a movie.
like if you're like
and
trying to
cuddle,
make like a certain
just you
point
and
in your
me.
videos, like
Okay.
or trying to
I came
rally
up with
against
an
something.
idea. When we get in VR, we watch a movie that you wanna watch.
It sort of like subtracts from like the main point of the video, and it's just like taking it in a completely different direction. Like you have like a different video inside of your video, basically.
To the VR. She didn't want to talk to anybody. She wanted to stay in her room and just play VR. During that time, I don't want to say coddling, but when your kid almost takes their life and then you find something that makes them happy, even if it's bad, like playing video games, you kind of give in to them a little bit because you're so scared of what's going to happen if you take it away. And so she was depressed and high risk for suicide. And she found happiness in the VR. And
into the
it ended
VR.
up making her life even worse.
After 7 days of talking on Discord consistently, Amelia sends Hayden a message saying she wants to break up for a variety of reasons. Over the next 5 days, Hayden manipulates Amelia back into a relationship where he continues to abuse her.
Oh wait, I have another insult. Bro looks like he moderates a fucking like Wikipedia Discord server.
Daddy wants you to swallow his.
Oh, lol, hold on. I don't know how the fuck I'm supposed to do this. I'm a f***ing child. I'm so stupid.
Hey, sexy. Can I see you? While you. If that's not too weird, then also. And drink it. Please, my.
No.
Wanna call? I'll try and be quiet.
I don't want to get you in trouble.
I'll be fine.
Your Twitch channel's not get deleted.
I'll just say it's my phone
nah,
from
it's
school.
fine, bro.
You have earbuds.
Yeah.
It's fine, surely, bro.
At this time he
surely.
was
It's up
18,
on YouTube. YouTube's a
and he
lot
was
more
still
fucking
writing her
strict on this
things
shit.
like he wanted to get her pregnant and then have sex with her and their daughter at the same time. So once he turned 18 and he was still sending this stuff, I told the detective and he said, well, maybe your daughter shouldn't have sent the first picture. That was his exact response. He still contacts her.
What kind of response is
still to this day, all the time, saying stuff, sending her porn and pictures and everything. She doesn't know. She doesn't have access to it. But that's how messed up this guy is. And the cops are okay with this kind of person being out there on the streets. And if he's doing this to her, I know he's probably doing it to somebody else.
Jesus.
On April 19th of 2022, Hayden celebrated his 17th birthday by going live while playing VRchat on his YouTube channel.
We're playing Among Us, and today is Silver's birthday! Yay! So we got Alex, Rox, Silver, and Seaburn with us today.
Using this exact date, we can pinpoint exactly when Hayden inappropriately messaged Amelia after he turned 18 the following year. On June 13th of 2023, months after not being in communication with Amelia, he messaged her this. This was the first message he sent to her after turning 18. Hayden Davis is undoubtedly a truly disgusting human being.
Wait, pause. Let me read it.
Whenever she was in the hospital.
Okay, I can go back. There you go.
What did it say?
Do you want me to read it?
No, I don't. No, I don't. No, I don't. No, I don't. Not anymore.
Yeah, I don't want to say that, bro.
Undoubtedly a truly
Yo, I'll read out loud.
Nah, shut up. Shut up, bro. You already read it for you on shit, dog. Not again.
Second time, and I had
thought I was the
found
weird
and I
one.
contacted the police, and
Not
they
even
sent
close,
it to a
bud.
detective in Denver.
Listen,
and
they
he
just think it's funny when I read stuff out loud,
just kind
okay?
of sat on it. And so I kept contacting him, and I tracked the guy down. I gave the police his address, but by the time they got there, they said, "Oh, well, he moved away," and so that's that. And I was like, "No, I'm not giving up on this. Like, my kid deserves justice." So I wrote the Attorney General in South Carolina, which is where the guy had moved to. At this time, he was 18, and so I tracked him down.
Was there statutes
The
of
police went to the
limitations on
house,
stuff like this?
and he wasn't there again. And then they said, well, he went back to Virginia. So then I tracked him down a third time, and they
Would that even apply
pretty
to
much
something
said,
like this?
Nothing we can do, sorry.
There's no limit.
I talked to the detective in Denver again and said, you know, you didn't want to do anything before because he was 17, even though Colorado has the Romeo and Juliet law, like officially, legally, he should be in jail. And he said, well, it's a misdemeanor, so there's no point in going after this guy. He didn't do anything wrong. Like, my kid almost died. So once he turned 18 and he was still sending this stuff, I told the detective, and he said, well, maybe your daughter shouldn't have sent the first picture. That was his exact response. And
I want to punch this guy.
I am a very patient and level-headed person, but at that point I freaked out and I was so upset. Like, how could you shame a child for this?
It's incredibly disheartening to see law enforcement fail
Nice
Eliza
3D
to find
model,
water
are so
at every
loud.
turn.
I'm about to have like
The police are
Vietnam
still in possession
flashbacks.
of Amelia's phone, and when Eliza brought up the idea
I'm
of
sorry,
bringing
I'm
this case to
playing
the
Lego Star
FBI,
Wars 2 on
the
my
police told her
PlayStation
not
4.
to. They elaborated by claiming the FBI
I
couldn't
want to
do
get
anything.
like a retro
So, with
PlayStation. I don't
Amelia's
know
phone
why.
stuck with a
I
police
want like
force
an
that
original
won't take
Xbox,
action,
original PlayStation.
Eliza is stuck
one
in
day.
an unfortunate state
I
of
have
limbo.
both.
I don't even
I
like
think
use
most police
consoles
officers
that much.
want
I
to
just
do
think
the
it'd be
right
cool
thing.
to have.
But unfortunately, Eliza was not lucky enough to find one of those officers. And even if she did, I guarantee you they have never heard of VRchat. VRchat socialization isn't mainstream enough for officers to get training on these types of issues.
I mean, I'm a mom whose daughter almost killed herself. I think the worst of this guy, and I want the worst thing to happen to him. I don't want him to die. I don't want anything bad like that. I just want him to end up in jail where he belongs. I don't want this to ever happen to another kid. Because even though I stopped her,
I'm very tempted to just like skip this
time,
part because like
the parent
yeah,
might not be able to have
makes sense.
time to stop the next one.
I think I get the gist of it.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, like I'm gonna see it
no one
through, but
talks
like
about
a
this
lot of it's
side
just
of
gonna
it.
you're
You
gonna
know,
it's
we
like, oh
talk
yeah,
about the
something
the
awful happened to their family. Obviously,
predators,
they're
like,
gonna
go
want
after
the
kids,
worst,
but you
right?
don't talk about
It's
the
just like
after
it
effects
feels
of
sensational.
the PTSD and the suicide and the
Like, I want
cutting
the worst.
and how their lives
I mean, fair enough for that
forever
guy, for sure.
is never gonna grow out of this. This isn't something
At
that
least
she
I'm
just
valid
gets
in my
over.
emotions
It's
of I
something
want
that
this
she'll
guy
have to
dead.
deal with for the rest
Yeah,
of her
that's valid
life.
as fuck. That's
and
valid.
I want him to deal with
I did some awful shit.
consequences for the
Maybe
rest
not
of his
dead,
life.
maybe
too.
in a jail cell.
He should be
rotting,
on a list. People should be
or
aware
like
that
No,
actually.
I proudly wear a shirt that says "Behead your local
has the
pedophile."
ability to say some of this stuff to
Alright,
kids.
I think that's a bit extreme.
No, it isn't.
For 17 days, Hayden Davis abused Amelia through VRchat and Discord. Over this time period, the two would send each other a combined 117 images and videos, many of which classify as CP. The two called 19 times on Discord, which totaled to 607 minutes of communication on voice call alone. From the evidence provided, it's undetermined just how long the two spent on VRchat together.
Honestly, I would love if VRchat would just get completely demolished and taken off the face of this earth. It would be great. Realistically, I don't know. They need like moderators or something, or warnings for parents. This needs to be brought more to the public's attention. I personally think that they know the problems that it's causing, but they're just sweeping it under the rugs to, maybe keep earning more money or bringing new people in. I hope that's not the case. It got to the point for us that with her PTSD, like I was searching for a service dog for her.
Like, here's the thing. Like, this is a very complicated like question, right? But like, as I said earlier, it's like, what are moderators like able to do, right? We can say that like, oh yeah, like we have like what they're introducing now, I think is really good. Probably like best case scenario. But in this case, right, in this point of time, June, they didn't have any of the age verification stuff. If everything else is like pretty similar, which I think it is, like moderators, right? I think the most they can do is probably like hardware bans on like people who do that kind of stuff, right? Like the problem that happens though is that it happens a lot of Roblox too. You have somebody who like with a bunch of people with like these like really like kinky bullshit that should not be on like a platform like that, right?
Yeah.
And Roblox is only able to only will do something once it affects the bottom line, right? It's like a company at the end of the day, right? It's a really complicated question. It really is. Like I think it's good that they're like bringing awareness to this, especially given the time period. As I said, now things are a little bit different with age verification and stuff like that. Predatory shit is still going to happen. Should still be called out. People who do that are really good, but I don't know. It's a really complicated question.
For her, and we couldn't afford one.
I agree.
And yet these people are still making a profit. All these kids who, went through something so terrible because of their game. I think that's messed up.
They say that it's like should just be like fucking KO'd is silly, but I understand why she's saying it, right? Because she's affected
had no
like,
bigger
directly,
part in the
right?
abuse
As I
of
said
Amelia
before.
as Discord
So
did. But the
it
truth
just
is,
really feels
VRchat
sensational.
provided
Like this
Hayden
entire
with
segment. It's like, yeah, you're
NSFW
calling out a bad
avatars at
guy.
the
This
click
guy
of a
should be
button,
called out.
sex worlds that take
But
seconds
in
to
this
load,
video, it feels
and the intense immersion of
feels
virtual
out
reality.
of place. It doesn't really add anything to
Whereas
your
Discord
main points,
allowed Hayden to
which
send
is the
text
moderation.
messages and videos. VRchat was the first place Hayden met Amelia, and it was commonly utilized after they connected on Discord. The two are simply not comparable. And as we'll see in our next chapter, It's not parents like Eliza's fault
Maybe I'm
thinking that
missing
VR
names.
chat is something that it's not.
Who knows?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. What the fuck?
18 plus means one thing. Nobody under 18.
Do you not know that old soundbite from YouTube?
I know that. Like, what is this like shit? What is
Oh
it?
yeah.
When I say 18 plus, you're gonna
Oh
walk in there and
yeah.
expect to see people that are essentially nude or like, you know,
Nipply.
God knows what else running
Be a
around.
bit nipply out.
And then some kind of age verification, not necessarily by ID. I don't know what kind of age verification exists that is not by ID.
Fuck yeah, guess what they just introduced, broski? Hell yeah. Based.
Marketing is how a company wants the public to view.
I don't
its
know how
product
much
or
of this video in
service.
specific
There is a common rule in
influences kind
marketing
of stuff.
called the
It's
rule of
it's
seven,
pretty medium
which
sized, all
states
things
that a
considered.
potential customer
but
needs to hear the advertiser's message at least
especially
7
for the time
times
period based.
before they'll take action to buy that product or service. This message needs to remain consistent throughout all advertisements to not confuse potential customers, which is why you'll see certain marketing campaigns start and end with various aesthetics and undertones.
He's losing
and
it, but-
VRchat is no exception. Their marketing across all
It's the MK
platforms
Ultra
is extremely
fucking
consistent
Moon
in tone
Man.
and style. However, we already
That's
know
where you're losing it
what
over, the
VRchat
fucking
is,
Moon Man.
from the stats, from the culture,
Dude, I love the
from
Moon
simply
Man.
playing the game,
I have a mask
and
of him
He makes the
somewhere.
best songs.
but instead of looking at how we see VRchat,
We should make a
why don't we
dirtbag
take a look
Should I
at
shoot
how
a
VRchat
random
wants to be
Dunkin'
seen?
Donuts employee?
No,
Uh,
I don't think that'd be a good idea.
Can you name all 5 worlds? World what?
okay, instead of random, what if one of my old co-workers, can I shoot them?
Don't shoot anybody.
You're no fun.
Murder Bad and K.
I'm Kugo. I am the owner and head coach over here at the Mighty Gym. We built the gym inside of VR so that we could use all of the fun and cool technology VR has to offer while providing people with an awesome gym
They are vegan and
experience.
eat food.
What is the most satisfying one in VRchat? One of my favorites is Pressure Wash Simulator, where you can clean grimy vehicles, which leads to the most satisfying results.
I don't even, bro.
From their TikTok to their official marketing videos on Steam and YouTube, it's clear their 13+ age rating is not a typo. It's their target demographic. A new person looking at these pieces of marketing wouldn't have seen a fraction of what VRchat truly offers as a platform. There is no marketing in any of these videos that would suggest this platform is made for anyone over the age of 18. It looks childish. It feels childish.
I think I agree with this segment, like for a majority of things.
Exact worlds and avatars.
The
they
addendum
want
I
to
would say
represent
though is
VRchat
that
to
many
trick
like
parents
popular
into
public
thinking their
worlds
platform is
think
safe for their
like Grey
child.
Pug,
Intentional or not,
with some
that is the
asterisks on that,
unfortunate reality.
like a Black
Even
Hat,
microanalyzing
Murder
things
Force,
like
stuff like
fonts,
this will
wording,
fit this like bill
colours,
pretty
and
well.
aesthetics used across all the promotional
No Time to
materials
Talk would it is
tells
another
any
world that really
parent
fits
that
this
this is
bill.
a platform for
And
children.
they are pretty
first.
popular as well.
And
So it's not like
that
a
we can see how
small part of
Eliza
the player base
easily
that's
made the
fitting this.
mistake of allowing her daughter to play VR.
Like it's not like a small thing that's like fitting this this bill, right? There is a underbelly of under 18 things, but you have to like it's not like one in the same, right? They're not going to be in the same place.
VRchat. You'll never see the hugely popular FBT Heaven strip club promoted or shown off on VRchat's TikTok or YouTube page. That side of the game is simply not how VRchat would like you, or potential users, parents, and investors, to view their platform. Many people who have never delved into the VRchat rabbit hole might be shocked to learn about the distinct and dystopian habits users have developed through numerous pieces of content, that will never be seen or talked about in any way on any VRchat social media. The first of which is the thriving VRchat
Yeah, this one you're very familiar with this one,
made
Professor.
possible due
Very,
to
very
VRchat's
familiar.
virtually unregulated avatar rules. Time and effort has been put in by avatar creators to make systems that allow virtual avatars to have intercourse. This subsection of avatar creation has slowly become its most lucrative, with many of the most popular creators making upwards of 6 figures just by selling avatars
How is
that
this
are
allowed on
well-made
YouTube, by the way,
and
this
can go
section?
fully
The
nude.
fuck?
The adult content uploaded on numerous websites using these avatars gets hundreds of thousands of views, and some videos even have upwards of 1 million. VRchat might be the first company to have the goal of making a 13
there's also like
plus
cam girls
platform
and stuff too.
and also creating
It's
the
wild.
tools to cultivate a new thriving genre of adult films. Two things that should never cross paths. Another byproduct of the over-sexualization of VRchat's culture is phantom touch, an apparent sensation of being physically touched when a player gets so immersed in VRchat, their brain is tricked into thinking it's making contact with another human being. And while many users completely over-exaggerate the
okay, I'm gonna let
intensity in which they
finish this one.
experience
I don't think
phantom
I agree
touch,
with this.
its existence is very real. On the other side of the spectrum,
Okay, that's
VRchat.
So I don't think phantom touch is something that contributes to sexualization too much. And my reasoning's pretty simple, right? Like, what kind of phantom sense are you doing? It's not going to be in, like, most of the time it's in your face region. In, like, more extreme cases, like whenever your avatar is getting touched or whatever, right? I would say over like 80% with confidence. I'd say over 80% are using this like fact about like your like psychology for like more wholesome things. I'm sure there is like a subsect of people who do that, right? But I don't think it is a reason why it has been sexualized. Right? You'd have to make a further point than it just exists, because it could always be used for wholesome things. Like, I can very easily make the counterclaim that it happens on a wholesome end. There needs to be more there.
Families are becoming more common in the ecosystem. Users will construct virtual families that they feel provide them more love and attention than their real-life counterparts. It gets even more dystopian when you see how predators have utilized this phenomenon. In this clip that YouTuber Ergblar recorded, we can see a 30-year-old user named Andy Goku adorning a Stitch avatar, attempting to recruit a child into his VRchat family.
Hey, I have an idea. Would you like to be a part of my VRchat family?
Why am I floating?
Yes. Oh no, you should stop floating.
Welcome to the family, kiddo.
Later, another child who was already convinced to join Andy's VR family joins the world.
I'll join you in 20 minutes.
Yeah, Ergbla is another. He's a human being. I would recommend fucking big ups to this guy. He's another guy who does like a lot of like expose on like predators, or just like, here's a cringe thing in VR, right? Some of it I disagree with. Like, why would you do that, right? Like, what's the point of that, right? But other things like the predator stuff, hugely important, needs to happen, maybe happen more, right? Stuff like this, VRchat families are actually very, very interesting, right? For a number of reasons. Firstly, VRchat families, they have I would say 9 times out of 10, they're never good. And whenever I see people in general say, "Oh, you're like a brother to me, you're like a sister to me, you're like my best friend," I get very uncomfortable. And that's for a number of reasons. Firstly, let's say you're meeting somebody. Right, you're meeting somebody for the first time, and a weekend they say, "You're my best friend." What is that saying? Well, they think they're really close to you, right? But in reality, you've only known each other for a week. A real best friend, right, isn't like that at all. Like, a best friend is somebody who knows like a lot about somebody. It's or known each other for a long time, has seen the ups and downs. A week isn't enough time to build that kind of connection, right? So what it does when you do this, it's like shortcutting genuine connection. And if you fall for that, it's like, yeah, you are my best friend. You're giving into now you're in a really weird bind and saying, okay, I genuinely see this guy as my best friend, but there's no actual connection there underlying this relationship. And with families, it's like one step further to that. I can see a reality where two adults who've known each other their entire life say, oh, yeah, man, you're like a brother to me. But that's earned because it's like 10 plus years of knowing each other. They've seen everything. They know each other, families even. It's like I can see a reality where that's earned. In VRchat, it's the same thing that happens. I've known you for a week. Right? You're my best friend now. But in some cases, it's like, yeah, bro, you're like my daughter, dog. I wouldn't let anybody. That's weird to me. That's weird to me. Even if it's like adult to adult. And in many cases, it isn't just like adult to adult, as seen here. I'm sure we'll be making a point of.
I know, but I miss you. It's lonely.
Get your ass off my face. Honey. I know, kiddo.
What a creep. Unfortunately, there are countless other examples of VRchat systems influencing its hypersexual culture. People cuddling with strangers when falling asleep in public worlds, sex workers getting paid for lap dances.
Is cuddling inherently sexual?
No.
Because like,
wouldn't say so.
I feel like this is another like very weak segment. Like I think this is another like weak segment of the video, right? Because like, oh, phantom sense exists, therefore sex, right? Cuddling exists in VR, therefore sex. But it's also getting paired with actual problems, like sexual prostitutes, opposed to non-sexual prostitutes. You get what I'm trying to say? That exists in VRchat. Like that's a real problem, right? That probably shouldn't exist. Or like people like erping in public lobbies. That's a thing that happens. You can hear people having these like experiences. There's so much better ways you can explain this point. And for the family example, that isn't inherently sexual. It's just like it's like it isn't sexual. I don't know why it's being like lumped into this thing. It can be, has the potential to be. Most of the time it is grooming. For example, as I said earlier, VRchat families are basically just another way to brand grooming. Is inappropriate relations between an adult and children without the proper like boundaries in place, right? And that's the problem with them, right? And I've already laid out like other like issues with them, so it's like this segment feels very weak argumentation. It's like lumping things that shouldn't be in this segment, basically.
And ERP. Even the group feature VRchat rolled out recently has been taken over by horny degenerates and has become yet another player-made mini ecosystem that has remained unmoderated.
In fact, the newly added group system is yet another window into who is actively spending time in VRchat and how poorly the platform is moderated. Most of the popular groups consist of sexual fetishes, drinking culture, or terminally online jokes. The dangerous thing about this is users can easily display the banners of whatever group they're a part of above their head at all times.
Like this.
And to make it even worse, I've found multiple examples of blatant pornography in these groups' brandings.
Even portals, which are a core game mechanic utilized for moving multiple players from one lobby at a time, have been tainted by the predators who use this feature to lure children out of family-friendly worlds to straight up sex dungeons and strip clubs.
Without the insane amount of unmoderated sexual content in VRchat, features like groups, portals, and the virtual camera wouldn't be so tainted. But
I feel like they have a very bad argument for like the portals. It's like, oh yeah, somebody's using it in a malicious way. Sure. Does that mean the entire feature is tainted? No. I can think of many ways. I think a majority of VRchat users use portals in a up to scratch way. I don't think you can say the same about groups. And that's why I agree with that point, right? Go into any public lobby, and it'll take you 2 minutes to find somebody with a sexualized group. My voice is fucking dying right now. Apologies. I've been live for 30 hours, bruh. The fuck?
Of course, due to how VRchat markets itself to the public, even if parents did know about these core features, they would have no idea how they synergize with the player-made content. And listen, it's not like these things are impossible to moderate. Epic Games, the creators of Fortnite, recently introduced player-made content into their platform. The main difference between Fortnite and VRchat is how they approve and moderate this content. Epic Games is aware that a huge amount of their audience are children, so they utilize the IARC system, which essentially takes the creator through a thorough questionnaire to determine the age rating of their content across many different countries. And after that process is concluded, their map will be uploaded to Fortnite with the correct age rating beside it. Anything over the age rating of 13 plus will not be allowed on the platform.
This is one of these things that plays into the role of, okay, what kind of person does VRchat want? Roblox has this problem as well. They say, we want this to be a platform for everybody, all ages. So if it's being marked as this age, we want different rules to be applied to this kind of thing. Right? But in practice, because either incompetence or lack of incentive or whatever other reason, like size of company, I'm not sure if I said that or not, you see problems, right? For VRchat, not VRchat, for Roblox, it's the condos and all that bullshit, right? But for VRchat, it's like clubs and stuff like this that should be 18 plus, almost exclusively.
For this is
Well, condoms are really hard to moderate because of the way they function. The way it is they have like a Discord server full of the people that like flood them when they open them, and they make an alt account. They immediately make the game on that alt account. It's up for like 3 hours before it gets banned. Like, it's really hard to have preventative measures in place for that.
Yeah, but the point still stands. I use condos as an example. There's other examples within VRchat. Condos just extreme, not VRchat, Roblox. It's just the extreme example I can think of. Like, I can probably, if I like looked long enough, it probably wouldn't be too hard to find like probably age inappropriate content in Roblox, right?
Yeah.
Children who play this game. I worked as a videographer before, as a graphic designer, and now doing factory work. And I got interested in VRchat because, I tried.
A quick note: when we were watching this the first time, that Pomp F website is fucking disgusting, and I don't know how related it is to VRchat. To be honest with you, I don't see it. I think it's just a lot of porn creators in one spot that have been banned off of other platforms or are like relegated here because of extreme kinks or illegal content.
It's basically just all lollies.
Pretty cool.
Lollies, lolly
I
porn.
never want to go back
A lot of drawn child porn. Do not go there.
Yeah.
My hobbies are like singing, dancing.
I hate that their mascot is a fucking character from one of the games I like.
I just like cute and
It's the
fluffy
fucking
things,
bullet
that's
hell
all.
game, Toho.
Yeah, I started really getting into like looking into all the grooming and like pedo stuff because my daughter got groomed on here. Idiot had all.
Yeah, so you need like what they need to do in this segment is prove the link of Pomp F to VRchat. I think they do a very poor job of this, and you'll see what I mean.
His social media profiles on his stuff, and I was able to track him down and call the police over it.
I'm not really like very social. I'm kind of like socially awkward and autistic. Very autistic. I have
Based.
issues, I guess, with myself.
I'm sorry.
I mean, I'll give you the background first.
What are you laughing at?
Found this place. I'm part of several VTuber servers, and there's this one guy that goes in like constantly ranting about loli and stuff
one
like
of the
that, trying to
streams we
convince
opened
everybody that they're a
last time we were
lolicon.
like
And
looking
like
at this and
he
looked at the
started mentioning
website.
this site,
Yeah.
like
Because
constantly.
I was going
So
to
it's
delete
like,
it from
okay,
my
what the
like
hell is this?
autocomplete.
And yeah,
And I decided to click on it. The
got
first thing I hear is,
horrified,
so
and then I was just
speaking of
like, there has to
4-year-olds.
be more to it than this.
What the fuck?
Off.com is a streaming site.
Yeah, it's a streaming
for
site, yeah. Yeah,
anybody,
anybody,
but
yeah.
majority of people that use it are lollies, furries, littles, people that stream like porn. It's
Real?
gotten a reputation of
They're playing
being,
fucking
like,
Dark
a
Souls.
lewdish
They're playing
site
like a
that
regular
where, like,
ass game.
all
And I
those
just,
different types of archetypes
Yeah, speaking of 4-year-olds, man, let me beat
not
this
even
Elden
close.
Ring boss. Let me beat Melania real quick.
And
Let me
I
solo her.
believe 100% if they had access to a child, they would do some horrible things.
Completely unrelated to this video, by the way.
that
I just
I
found
don't
it
get,
very
like,
funny.
harassed
What
on
the
there just for being like a lolly.
just out of
Even though
curiosity,
I
I'm
have
looking at the
done,
bio
like,
and
lewd streams, as in like lewd art and stuff.
Unhinged.
And like I used to do sex work on there. Even though I've done those
I don't think I really believe what they're saying here. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's like you would have a reason to lie about, like, hey, I used to do sex work as a lolicon for lolicons. Like,
happens, like with,
I wouldn't
like,
be
a lot of
proud of that,
people
even if
who
it was for
will
money.
sell sex services for like phone sex or like meeting up in VR chat for.
So in
ERP
the
and
reality, it's
stuff like
probably
that.
worse than what she's
For
saying.
myself,
For
it
a lot of
was,
reasons.
really uncomfortable. I don't really like putting myself out that way, but I am in like a crunchy like type of situation where I don't have a job and I don't have like anything, and I needed to like make money fast and like just find a way to like survive and support myself. So I started doing sex work because of that.
Yeah, the people on here.
I think the only real correlation between this and VR chat is I imagine VR chat is probably a common medium they use for
$200 in like a weekend.
what they perform.
Yeah, but they don't prove it in the video.
Yeah.
And in return,
Like, I could see that being the case, but I'm not about to go on a lolicon website for multiple hours trying to find the links here.
Yeah, I'm not looking for the proof.
I don't know. This segment needs more evidence, I feel. It's like, it's just, like, yeah, this website's terrible. I wish it didn't exist.
But yeah.
But
it would be like that, per se.
how does this relate to VR chat?
Okay, this was the nail in the coffin, and like what finally got me off of this and like I'm not looking into it anymore. They develop games.
Did you
They
see
have
this one?
game called Hummingbird. It's created by people on this
I did not
site,
see anything for
and
it.
is
All
a
I found
3D
was a
VR game where you
archived
go in
GitHub link for
as
it.
a
Oh, you
daycare
didn't download
operator.
it. Good.
No, I did not download it. No.
Anyway, speaking
There's
of
several
4-year-olds,
people who have VODs on that site playing that game.
I can't be joking about this.
All
guys.
I did was I found a
After I
because
found
they
that,
took like the
I
game page off of
determined, like,
the
this is way
actual
bigger
website, I
than
guess.
anything I wanna
And
get
so when I
into,
searched for
and
it, I found a
don't wanna know
GitHub
anymore.
post that was just a bunch of archives of the games.
Gotcha.
I should probably report that to GitHub, actually.
Yeah,
I do not
probably
think
should do that real quick.
I'm gonna see if I can find that again.
Pomf.com is an example of a rabbit hole
Okay, that was
too
not
dark
hard to
for me
find.
to fully explore. After interviewing the anonymous dad, who spent months investigating the website, I
dare you record
decided it
something
was
to GitHub?
simply
I've
too
never had to do that
disturbing to
before.
pursue any further. This decision was also impacted by the things the dad told me off the record. From the testimonies of its live streamers and critics, Pomf serves itself as one of the most degenerate,
have to
disgusting
outright email
utilizations
them?
of VR chat's infrastructure.
Yeah, here's the thing with a like streaming service, such as this, like, what kind of streams are being done, right? It's gonna be sex work, right? You've already made the claim and proved that some sex work does exist in VR chat, right? This is just another example, right? Even worst case scenario, right? Worst case scenario, lolicon sex work. Do you think VR chat is like putting the like green light on it? Is that the implication? Because like this isn't a website that is only for VR chat like degenerates. It's not. It's for degenerates, period. And they even say that as I guess like a header. But like having this in your video, it feels so unrelated to everything else. You're just like maybe reinforcing a previous point that you already proved concretely. It seems very pointless.
Community and vision.
And is yes, it's good to call out this stuff. This shit shouldn't exist, but it feels like it's not serving any other point to call other than calling out. And that's my problem.
I've ever seen. And it currently stands as the only mystery I refuse to investigate further.
Yeah, juggle, laugh.
Ooh, yeah.
My voice, fuck. This segment, I feel like he misconstrues like crazy. You'll see what I mean.
Morality and the legal system, at times, can be very different. The two will often cross paths, but there are countless examples of...
No, I would say one is downstream of the other. It's like the law is downstream of our morality, so most of the times the law does follow our morality. There's some like really extreme edge cases where it's not the case on like extremely logical basis, but for a majority of people, emotionally that feels right. Logically, that feels right for the most part, so it works for the majority of people's morals. It's a nitpick, but you can
these
continue.
two forces not seeing eye to eye.
It's
The
definitely a
individuals I'm
nitpick.
about to discuss are real people with real jobs at VRchat. Their actions hold weight within the company, and throughout our investigation over the past year, the people we interviewed have actively put these employees' morals into question. Certain names appeared in our research more than others, so we decided to conduct deeper investigations into the most recurring names. We debunked infamous screenshots, cleared up notorious stories, found new information, and gathered a clearer picture of what is actually going on. In the end, it brought us right back to a common thread we've been following this whole time. A conundrum that the law has yet to address, despite such a large percentage of people being morally against the idea. First up is a developer called
Here's the thing: a lot of their beginning claims, right, with like Sitbox and stuff, is lolicon is bad, right? I don't think they really made a strong argument for that. I agree that it is bad for the record, but to say, oh, it should be off this platform completely, and it is morally bad, period, I don't think they made a great argument for. And I think the reason why is because I feel like most people are going to agree, yeah, it's bad, but you need to, if you're going to build your entire argument off of this, you need to have some pretty concrete stuff backing that. And what you've said, here's some counter arguments. Nuh-uh, basically. For example, oh, it's fictional. There was no counter argument to, oh, it's fictional, right? And I even said this earlier. It's like, oh, you said, oh, it's a creep, not a pedo. That was very good. That was very clever, right? But like, if I think they're going in the way that I think they're going, which I did watch this before. I have a bit potty memory. It's not the best on a argumentative level.
Oh no. Their official job description is community manager, and they were the first example we found of the lolicon culture being synonymous with the people who are constructing VRchat's experience. Nono was a foreigner to Japan before moving there for the love of the lifestyle, proven by their thousands of pictures uploaded to Twitter, showcasing the cuisine, the sights, and, most importantly, dressing up like a little girl.
It's like, okay, my thing with this is like, yeah, it's weird, yeah, it's sort of creepy. Where else are they going to go? What should you do about them? Yeah, maybe they shouldn't have a moderator position. I agree with that. Cool. Like, are you out of game for like just like completely getting it out? Like, I'm confused what their point is here. It's like, I guess it's like it feels really pointed for no particular reason, I guess. Or without any strong vindication, you know? It feels really weak.
Oh, you came back in interesting time.
What?
However,
Lolicons,
more than
yo.
just a lifestyle.
No!
It reveals a clear fetish. An Amazon wish list linked in their bio, consisting of schoolgirl outfits, dog collars, and bondage suits. Screenshots of a childlike persona dressed up in skimpy outfits, cuddling up to other players living in VR chat. And most of all, NoNo's Twitter reveals a complete lust and infatuation with Lolicon. Thousands of posts of what felt like an infinite scroll of
We are an hour into a 2-hour documentary,
moral
dog.
content.
Welcome in. You're being live streamed right now. Reminder.
I feel like this explains it a little bit.
I don't like this.
Not nice.
Wait a minute.
Like, yeah, saying something is weird isn't an argument for saying why it's bad, right? Like, I agree it is, but like, you need to be doing more work if that's like your like fundamental disagreement with like a lot of these things, right? If this is your main point, there should be more here. Other than look at these weirdos.
That
you know
was
what
just
I
the
mean?
beginning.
It's frustrating.
Alt Twitter account, to be honest.
This is Satcha Varel, aka the lead of VRchat's Trust and Safety Department. Satch has a unprofessional pattern of taking criticism about the safety of VRchat very personally, often making sarcastic and mean-spirited responses to people expressing genuine concern about the platform.
I'm gonna leave the cursor on the screen
Since he
just to
enjoys
piss somebody
arguing with
off.
random people on Discord so much, I thought I'd throw my hat into the ring. Satch, I think you're truly terrible at your job. You are the lead of one of the worst trust and safety teams I've ever seen on any platform. Honestly, I'm not sure how someone with such a brittle mentality has been put in charge of the largest virtual reality platform safety team.
Have you ever played
But
VR
at this
chat,
point,
Izumi?
I'm not
I
surprised.
booted it up like once, but I never.
I could
had a
comb
VR
through all of the
setup.
mistakes in the 81,000
You're talking to somebody with
messages he sent in
3,000
the official
hours.
VRchat Discord server.
Nice.
But instead, I'll point
That's
you to
not
his
nice.
YouTube channel, filled with
Unfortunately.
avant-garde
I've seen
music.
some good things in VR chat, like
It can't. It can be nice, but it isn't.
Yeah.
No, not this one. Nope, not
Banger.
this. This one.
I swear I've heard that as
On
like
the track
an
ironically
outro or
titled
something.
Devil Am I, Satch really came into his own stylistically. A true classic in his discography if you ask me.
Real.
In fact, don't just take my
Based.
word for it. Just look at the comments. One user said, "This slaps harder than Will Smith at the Oscars." I would show you more
I've seen
insightful
that.
dialogue about the
I've seen
song,
that
but
fucking
unfortunately, there are only 3 comments on the
comment on
video,
so
and
many
the one I
videos.
just read out likely was a little biased, seeing as the person who left that comment was Sitbox.
Yo.
Quick
It's
recap
the
for
guy.
those who
It's
aren't
the guy.
following. VR
the
chat
guy
Discord
from the
mod,
It's a
avatar creator,
reoccurring
got caught
villain.
having VR sex
Yeah,
Bro,
as a
I
child.
just like to know.
was
I just
trying
like to know.
to
This
harass
guy's a
users
moderator. He's
in-game.
not even part of like the development
Yeah.
team at all.
That's it,
He's like the low end
Upon
of the
finding
spectrum
out
here.
that one of 3 comments
He's not
on
even like a
180
big guy here.
view YouTube video belonging to the lead of VRchat's Trust and Safety was left by Sitbox,
It's like so.
we had a few questions. And after confirming through Discord conversations that the two were in fact friends,
Like the most you can
we were
say
left
that he's
wondering,
being hypocritical and he likes
was
Lolicon.
Sitbox being protected?
It's like
The answer was uncertain.
you have to prove
However,
that it's.
things became more transparent.
I think he
the further
proved
we
the
dug into
hypocrisy.
another member
I think he
of the
proved
VRchat
that.
family.
But I said this before. I feel like he didn't do really a good job, other than saying, "Look at these weirdos." You know what I mean? Like he
yes,
said, it was a
This
moral
is
gray
Topper.
area, and with
His
gray
official
areas,
job
like you
title
have
is
to
head of community,
be very careful
and
with
he
them,
is
you
the
know,
closest thing
and
we
actually have a
have
conversation
to a
without saying "ooga
quote-unquote
booga." This thing is
face
bad.
of VRchat.
Booga booga.
Tupper will often downplay his authority to deflect
I find that really
criticism.
frustrating.
So
I find that
instead
really,
of me
really
telling you what his
frustrating.
job entails, I will simply read his
Especially if
LinkedIn
you think it's such a big
description
problem
that
in
he
the
wrote
culture
himself.
of VRchat.
I lead and develop the communications, support, and trust and safety teams, and collaborate with the executive team to make strategic decisions that align with our community's needs and goals. On top of all of these important responsibilities, Tupper hosted almost every VRchat YouTube video where he would voice and body act all the new updates in his signature Cerno avatar up until October 26th, 2023.
There we go.
He's super active on Twitter, he plays a lot of VRchat, frequents many club worlds, and is disliked by many die-hard VRchat players. I know this because almost everyone I talked to had a conspiracy or distaste for Tupper throughout the investigation. Now, usually, it's pretty normal for a company
not a weeb game.
to receive criticism.
Never heard UNON is her.
It's awesome.
But UN is her is fucking
especially
based.
in the social
Cerno's
media
max class, come on.
But after looking into many of these allegations,
Marisa stole the promise thing. Hello.
And began to think Tupper was just a target for harassment due to him being an easy punching bag. Fake screenshots, fake accounts,
Marisa stole
fake
the
sexual
promise
partners.
thing. It's the best fucking Iris Dogen song.
But that all changed after we received this clip.
When I went to that meetup in real life, they brought Rebecca there when she was still 16, and she was there with all 30 guys.
This is like another really strong part of the video, I think.
I kept eyeing her like a hawk because I felt so unsafe. I felt like that was not okay. She came to the meetup in real life with 30 men, and I was the only woman. I was so disgusted by the entire situation. It got deleted. I mean, that's a testament. Pepper invited this 16-year-old girl whose parents were not around to this party with 30 guys with open, I'm talking like alcohol open, drugs open. Yeah! I was so disturbed by the entire Rebecca situation. Like, it almost
out of everything, like, shouldn't you open with your strongest arguments? Like
night because I was like so
I guess the structure of the video is like let's go up the totem pole or whatever, right? But he has like next to nothing in terms of like argumentation, so it really makes it feel it's really weird. This is a really this is really concerning, but it's at the end of like a fucking hour and a half video.
Just heard in the audio.
Hour fucking of
we're looking at like lollicons and shit.
She didn't know someone was recording her.
It's frustrating.
The event that she's referring to in the clip is a 4chan
like this is genuinely disgusting. I really do feel that way.
July of 2019, hosted on the back of the Anime Expo convention. Years later, in 2024, we asked Abraxas for a statement to confirm.
We're not looking at lollies. We're looking at lolicons. The difference. Use the right term.
She gave us.
Big difference.
If I recall correctly, there was definitely no cocaine or hard drugs. Just weed. That's the big one that I know was mistold on my part. That's the only factually incorrect thing I said. But the things I said, like nothing happened and I watched her the whole time, those things are just overlooked, and it really bugs me. Abraxas clearly holds some regret about how the story was publicly perceived, and wanted to be clear that nothing happened to the 16-year-old girl Rebecca during or after attending the party.
What did I say earlier, by the way?
Many of the same people who told us lies about Tupper during our investigation were responsible for spinning the story into something Abraxas claims it wasn't. With that being said,
bro, I'm gonna be talking like little squeaks by the end of this video.
Party consisting of mainly older men with weed and alcohol present isn't something to just brush under the rug. However, without any testimony from Rebecca herself, and no texts, photos, or videos relating to the party, the only thing we have to go off is a now slightly altered testimony of an event that took place 5 years ago.
I have never heard her say
Luckily, this 4chan party led us back to a familiar path. Through digging deeper into Abraxas' recollections, we discovered Tupper did in fact have ties with the VRG 4chan group, and so did another VRchat user
I'll let my body fail on my own
we should
terms,
all be very familiar with, Sitbox. This connection might explain how Sitbox became an official VRchat Discord moderator in the first place. So, are these two also friends? Yet again, we are met with the question of, is Sitbox being protected? Except now, I saw a way to piece the puzzle together.
Protected from
After
what?
14 days of deliberation,
ERPing
this was the plan I thought
VRchat when ERP
Seeing
is
as Tupper
prevalent?
was helping lead and develop the trust and safety teams, I wanted to see what he would do if he saw the evidence of Sitbox's sexual promiscuity while wearing a child
By doing the ERP correctly.
Like, bro,
Stick the PP into the goo. Take the PP out of the goo. Stick the PP back in.
When you say protected, does he mean from like getting kicked out of like moderation permissions, even after this?
Making sure that he doesn't get in trouble for what he is doing.
How can he get in trouble?
That's the question.
Cancellation?
Yeah.
What's canceling him gonna do?
So it's like, let's say, okay, he gets in trouble because he's ERPing. We're gonna make an example out of Sipbox. What's gonna happen after that, right? You ban him entirely from the community. What's gonna happen after that? It's still gonna happen. It's so prevalent. It's a cultural thing, right? And now with like age verification and VRchat, it's still gonna happen. Like, it's not gonna go away, especially after
In fact,
like.
it might even get more prevalent with age verification.
Yeah.
Oh shit, I know I won't get in trouble because I'm gonna hang out with this random totally 18-year-old person? Good.
Like, they aren't accusing him of being a pedophile. They're accusing him of liking like drawn children. And they made like a very dubious argument at best why that's bad. I agree it's bad. I should have clarified, but I don't think they argued it well. So like all of this being built up of like a pretty like dubious argument at best of, oh, if it looks like a child, it's probably a child. They probably like children then, right? But the entire point is that it's fictional, right? And they aren't going to cause harm. That would be the counterpoint, but you don't like even engage with that at all. And
Avatar in this 13+.
It's frustrating. It's frustrating. It's very frustrating.
Yeah, you don't even state it and then like argue against it.
It's frustrating.
Experience. Would he remain a bystander or honor his job description? Would he remove Sitbox from the Discord moderation team, ban him from VRchat, and remove a dangerous user from the platform? This question is interesting in concept, but the hardest part about this experiment was proving that Tupper had actually
Am I going
seen
insane
the
here?
evidence.
I feel like I'm going insane. Vale, you've been here from like the start of the video.
Yeah.
Am I going insane?
No.
I don't know, man.
Because
No,
like
you're not.
this is a dangerous user. Bro just likes being cringe with other like adults on VRchat and is like into like slightly kinkier things. Like, yeah, maybe you shouldn't be a moderator. Ban him. Ban this dangerous user. Where is this rhetoric coming from?
Lock him up. Lock him up.
Where is this rhetoric coming from? It's like, yeah, I get you're disgusted by lolicon stuff. I am too,
Lock
man,
him
but
up now.
you haven't proved it in your video.
And so, I was plagued with a new question. How do you prove a human has seen something when they're hiding behind a screen? The answer?
Boy, my moderator just engaged in
Not an
ERP.
email, not a
Oh no.
report,
No.
a dialogue. So,
I say that was slightly joking, but if NSFW isn't truly allowed, which I don't think VRchat has taken a stance for it. They've taken a stance for it at this point. Age verification. They're like sectioning off age verified worlds to non. So if you want to do that kind of stuff, there's a place for it. And you even prove it in the video itself. You'll see what I mean.
Twartles, a well-known figurehead in the VRchat community. He hosts popular Twitter Spaces, which gave him a direct line to Tupper through Discord.
Oh, not Twitter
due to them doing a
Spaces.
couple of Q&As in the past.
Twitter
Twartles
Spaces
was perfect. Not a close friend of Tupper's, and not attached to the VRchat company. The issue was,
I wish Blue Sky
how
was
do you
doing
convince
good?
someone
It's
you have
not,
never talked
sadly.
to, whose job it
I
is to
can't
maintain
pretend that it
relationships with
I
the
don't
most
use
important
either
people in
because I'm
VRchat, to
functioning.
forever ruin his
Does this guy even have an
relationship
app yet?
with the face of
Yeah,
VRchat?
it's OBS set up, by the way.
You simply explain and ask. Here was the plan. Twartles would send Tupper this exact message.
Hey Tupper, tried to
Hey, bro,
DM
you
you a
up?
while back, but I'm just gonna drop this.
Hey bro, you up? Question mark.
Someone made a ticket in my server about Sipbox, and
Yo, do you
to be
want
honest,
an
I didn't
ERP,
know who
Tupper?
it was
Like,
until I looked him up. And in my opinion,
Dude,
I'm desperate for your VR chat moderator,
God.
God.
The best person to send this to.
I can be the 4-year-old of your dreams.
Attached underneath this text was
Please
two
not on
links.
Twitch.
A Google
Remember,
Doc,
we're on
and
Twitch
a
right
Google
now.
Drive.
That's awful.
The drive contained all the evidence we collected on Sitbox, proving he is a danger to the users of VRchat. The doc contained a list of everything included in the drive. However, that wasn't its main purpose.
Oh, my Twitch is
This
stuck.
Google Doc was the solution to the question, how do you prove a human has seen something when they're hiding behind a screen? Let me explain. As soon as somebody clicks on the Google Doc link, an anonymous user icon will pop up in the top right, and then disappear once the user
I feel like there's a
closed
lot
the
of
tab.
easier ways
Since
you could
me
have
and
done
Twaddles
this.
were the only two people who had access
Does he have an
to this
Instagram?
Google Doc,
Have, like,
we
a scene
agreed that
feature,
none of us
you
would
know?
open it upon
Like
contacting
Skype used to have
Tupper.
a scene
If
feature
we
too.
caught someone viewing the document, it could only be one man. So, with everything figured out, Twaddles sent the report.
If they reply to it
1
too, it
hour
would also
and
be a pretty good
35 minutes
indication
later,
they've seen it.
An anonymous user started viewing the Google Doc.
I think they wanted more than
They
just
viewed the Google
fact
Doc
that
for
he's seen
approximately
it.
12
For
seconds before
example,
closing the tab.
seeing exactly how long they viewed it.
And shortly after, Twaddles would receive a message from Tupper. I'm not quite sure
I'm
what's
taking
being
it
asked
very
of me
on
here.
face value
If
now.
there's something you think should be reported to the VRchat Trust and Safety team, please do so via our form.
What's up with the dramatic zoom on this message?
Dude, okay.
This
This entire
It's
like video is
dramatic.
very like cinematic. Like has cinematic flourishes to like emphasize a point, right? They're very good at that. I think that was good, but
Plus,
Which
their
I don't think is a
defensive
bad
response encapsulates the biggest issue that plagues VRchat. How can the quote-unquote
most of what I've been saying
developer
is just
of
like
the trust and
frustrating,
safety teams that VRchat
frustration with like
employs
they
not
could be arguing
understand what's
things so
being
much
asked to
better
him when
they-
being
they're,
directly
like,
shown a Google Drive
thinking
filled
that
with
their cinematic
evidence
shit
that
is
a
like going to carry
user
this
slash
at all.
official
You have a
Discord
bad
moderator
argument.
is a clear
Bro
danger
did
to the
not
platform.
pass reading
The
comprehension.
message just didn't
So
make
if I'm
sense.
getting this right,
Regardless,
they're a
to
broken
cover all of
clock.
our bases, on
Like, they're
February
right, but
17th,
they're not arguing
2024,
it good.
we reported
Basically.
Sitbox with the same proof we provided Tupper using the exact link he provided us.
They're right with asterisks too, because at the time of being made, this game did not have age verification, and this video does advocate for age verification. That's based as fuck, dog. But what I like harshly disagree with, I would say, is like when you say, "Oh, this person's a dangerous user," because something that you haven't argued well for. It's like, for example, Lolicon, right? You have to make a pretty hard in the line saying why it's wrong. And what they've said, okay, if it quacks like a duck, swims like a duck, like looks like all this stuff, it's probably a duck. Right? And the counter to that, it's a very easy counter. It's fictional. They wouldn't harm in real life. And you have no evidence they did. So saying that they're dangerous, you have no evidence for whatsoever.
Yeah, like you don't have
And
any like,
as of this-
grooming allegations or anything.
No, it's two consenting adults and child avatars ERPing in a virtual game.
Unfortunately, it's the same as two consenting adults in the bedroom doing something.
It's cringe. I wouldn't do it. I don't think you should dress as children when you're doing like erotic things, generally speaking.
But also, one of the most famous role plays ever is a teacher schoolgirl.
Exactly. Like
It's a rabbit hole where both sides can be right and both sides can be wrong.
yeah, it's a two-sided coin, right? Because firstly, you can like make the claim, okay, well, it can lead to two things, especially if you cultivate it, right? And that's when you get into like moderation stuff, right? But you'd have to do more in saying, all right, are they cultivating specifically lolicon things? No, I would say they're cultivating more of a 18 or mature like demographic with their marketing being teenagers. I think that's bad, and I agree with that point. and they're doing things to push away from that with age verification specifically, right? So I agree with that, but like there's so many like things that are just misnomers and just like argued really fucked, right? For example, they make the claim that VRchat has a hypersexual culture. I agree with this, but the way they argued it is sex workers exist, VRchat families exist, phantom sense exists, and that was their case. Like just saying some things exist, like saying this thing exists does not therefore mean sexual things. Like I think they said cuddling too. Like cuddling isn't necessarily sexual. Phantom touch isn't necessarily sexual. It can be.
I mean,
people can use it that
hell,
way.
I've cuddled both Mel and Azumi.
Like it's
I love you, Azumi.
It's like, whilst I agree with them, they're just arguing really, really poorly for what they're saying.
Video's publication,
and it's not
to
really
no
that
one's
convincing.
surprise,
If you look at it
Sitbox's
from a
VRchat account is
fine
still
tooth,
active, and he is still an
magnifying
official
glass, that's what I
moderator
look
of the
at. That's what I was
VRchat
looking for.
Discord server. The crazy
Fine-tooth
thing
comb.
is, assuming
fine-tooth
Sitbox
comb,
is
thank
not
you.
under contract for his contributions to the Discord server, all it would take
Big
is just
black.
one mouse click from Tupper to remove Sitbox from the VRchat Discord community. In fact, Tupper could have done a lot more than just that.
Hi.
Hi there.
Hi.
How's it going?
Can I speak to you? Are you busy?
You're doing that right now?
I would love to see VRchat
No,
internal documents. I would love to see it.
Man,
Because
there was
videos,
a
it would
certain
clear
person
videos
you
like
might
this
have
up
banned, like, 30
so
times.
much.
You might be familiar with him. I think it was you anyway.
I don't ban people, so.
You don't? My bad. People told me you did it. That's what I heard. Okay, so that's good to know. All right.
Nobody knows who bans anyone. Anyone who tells you is wrong.
Okay. I'll take note of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
While Tupper has been adamant over the years that he cannot ban players, I found that very hard to believe, mainly due to his official job description,
Sounds sort of fruity.
and I was left even more
Okay, got True
confused
Jedi.
after March 29th.
Fuck yeah.
Just when I thought things were over,
My
I get a
cock is
message from
enormous.
Twirls. It reads, "What did you do?"
Only 6 inches.
Turns out, the popular VR YouTuber, The
7.
Virtual Reality Show, was
I didn't need
hosting
to
an
know.
official live VR chat event. An estimated 500
Fucking
to 700
freak.
people were watching around the world, and of
Mel
course,
loves me.
there was a live audience in the virtual
Brother.
studio she was filming in. In fact, you're viewing the event through one of their
Somebody
eyes
gonna
right
match my
now.
freak-
As you
Nah.
can see,
no one is
No
everything
one's
was
gonna
going
match your
great
freak.
until an
Maybe a Zuby.
unexpected loud noise started to disrupt the entire event.
We got a new world to conquer.
No one really knew what was going on, but suddenly, people started to notice that somebody had hacked one of the screens on the main stage.
It's so zoomed in, I can see the pixels.
Suddenly, Sitbox's secret had just leaked to hundreds of people watching the live event.
Some people are trying to attack the event, so that's really great.
Cyber terrorism, let's go, base,
So
base.
yeah, sorry about that.
What's wrong with people these days, man?
He sounded like the biggest white knight I think I've ever heard. Like, that's like a stereotypical like white knight.
You don't understand. She needs a powerful man like me.
Yeah, the
not these
TV's also
wimpy
kinda-
I'll be on
other
that.
boys.
For real.
Clearly,
Chevrolet's dead
Sitbox had
nowadays,
more
man.
enemies
I can't
than
say
we
that word.
initially suspected. However, I was curious about who was behind the disruption, so I messaged Fia, the host of the virtual reality show, to get more answers. She explained that she expected the harassment, since this was the first official creator-hosted event highlighted by the official VRchat company. She also told me that the group behind the attack went by the name Fart Spam. Luckily for her, one member of the VRchat team was instantly banning the hackers left and right, getting the event back on track as soon as possible. I was shocked to learn that the person responsible for banning the accounts showcasing Sitbox's crimes was Tupper.
I don't ban people, so nobody knows who bans anyone. Anyone who tells you is wrong.
I was shocked. I couldn't believe that Tupper...
This is like one of those things. It's like, I wish I had VRchat internal documents. Because, for example, some staffers might have a set of guidelines they have to follow to, to communicate with the community, for example, right? It could very well be the case that he is under contractual, obligation or something. I don't know. And we have no way of knowing, right?
Was at the event. He once again saw evidence and public outrage against Sitbox, but continued to ignore it. Plus, although Fia's statement isn't direct proof of Tupper's hidden ability to ban players, my suspicions were at an all-time high. Regardless, the direct report experiment was over, and the results were conclusive. Tupper's actions shows that he will continue to turn a blind eye to dangerous users on VRchat instead of removing them from the platform, despite that being one of his main roles in the company. There's two explanations. One, him and Sitbox are close friends, and Tupper is actively protecting Sitbox from being exiled from the platform. Or two...
I still don't understand the argument for them being dangerous. It's like he says it again and again, presuming that it's like his point has been proved. But it's like, it hasn't been at all. There's a very easy ways you can say, nope, they're just not right. Like, for example, what you've shown is like, oh yeah, Tupper, it probably does some ERP. Okay? You have any evidence he's done it with a child? No, you don't. It's two adults. It's two adults, man.
Just like the other VRchat affiliates we looked into, Tupper is morally okay with lolicon content being allowed on VRchat, which might also be corroborated with his suspicious Twitter likes on his account, and by the fact that he follows a user
also
named
you
Len,
can't see people's
who
likes
draws
anymore because
extremely
Elon Musk
disturbing lolicon
accidentally
art.
liked
Or,
some spicy anime
it
pics.
could just be a combination of both.
Hey,
so
everybody
if the
likes some
majority of your
hentai
players are
occasionally, okay?
mentally ill, your Discord
What
moderators
did I come back
are sexual
to?
deviants,
You heard me.
and the people you employ are just as incompetent and
had me
morally
at
bankrupt as your core player base.
Incompetent, maybe. Maybe you can make a case for that in this scenario. Maybe, especially if NSFW is explicitly against TOS, which I think it is. But then you would have to go higher up, right? Like what demographics does the company want? From internal documents, shit like that. You can't it's very, very frustrating to see.
I forget, is Wisconsin in a central time zone?
Yes,
or...
it's in Central.
What would you do
I have 3
if
hours
you
until
owned this virtual ecosystem?
I have 4 hours.
Let's meet the top
3 hours
boys,
and 30
shall
minutes,
we?
technically.
3 hours and 43 minutes.
First, let me introduce you to co-founder and CEO, Graham Gaylor.
It's like a Gaylor.
The first thing to note about Graham is he's nothing like the developers and moderators we talked about earlier. In fact, I'd go as far to say Graham is pretty much a normal guy.
How do you feel about your victory? I feel pretty good.
Cheated.
That's not true.
He's a cheater.
No. I won
got
fair and
behind
square. The
me.
Dark Lord always wins.
In June of 2008, Graham worked as a customer
Yeah, there's only
service
so many
intern
times
for a
I can repeat
company
myself.
called
Yeah, like, you
SmartVault
really
for
do
2
have to,
months.
prove
Due to
the
the
more
small scale of
harm,
the company
direct
at the
harm.
time,
Where's the
Graham would
direct
also
harm
help
in
beta
this?
test products.
Okay.
1 year later, in June of 2009, he got an internship at RSM Design. He helped research potential projects, wiped and sold old computers on eBay, and occasionally reorganized the office. This internship also only lasted 2 months.
Like, if I had to ask this guy a question, it would be, how prevalent do you think over-sexualized stuff is on VRchat? In specific avatars, bios, and groups. How prevalent? That is the question I would ask this man.
2 months.
Hey everybody, this is Graham Gaylor from GrahamGaylor.com, and I just received my Leap Motion dev board in the mail today, and I am freaking excited to try it out.
On January 10th, 2010, Graham got yet another internship, this time at Equivalent Data, for 1 month, and another one after that as an IT intern at Seismic Exchange Incorporated for another 2 months.
Moving around the screen, resizing it. I see this could be really useful in like a 3D modeling program or something along those lines.
From August 2010 to May
modeling in VR
2014,
sounds
Graham
both
attended
fun and
Vanderbilt
horrifying.
University. 1 month after getting his
I've
bachelor degree in
made
mathematics
something-
and computer
I
science,
made
he
something
landed a job
bigger
at
in
Zynga
Blender,
as a
and
software
then I
engineer.
stopped using Blender.
This was a pretty big deal. It was Graham's first real job, working and coding on things he was passionate about. Kind of. Unfortunately for Zynga, Graham would leave after only 4 months of employment to fully focus on something he started working on back in January.
Hell
with
yeah,
one of his
mobile
best
games.
friends. And that something
yeah.
was VRchat.
We're going to take a break and switch over. I hope that the Oculus experience was a good one and an interesting one. I look forward to hearing about it. And we are now going to get Jazz Purawal from London
guest
on
4484.
the line, as it were. So.
Great history lesson, but why go through all of this?
I went through all that to emphasize the importance of VRchat to Graham. This is not a company made by some veteran business mogul. It's not a creation formed from a business meeting at a huge company. It's a dream realized from a kid in a dorm room, much like many other huge social media platforms before it.
Are you comparing VRchat to Facebook?
I'm not comparing VRchat to Facebook. I mean, there's a reason investors are pouring millions into the idea, but I'd say VRchat is more like MySpace.
Because comparing Zuckerberg to Graham is insulting to Mark.
Listen, you said it, not me.
Zuck.
But
Is
anyway,
that the fucking
we're
foot
getting
lettuce guy?
I hear it. Number 15. I can't do it right now. Fuck.
Number 15, Burger King foot lettuce.
Burger
Number
King
14,
Bungus.
Taco Bell piss nachos.
I hear it, dude. It's like, I don't understand. This guy, like, they literally said it. Oh, yeah, he's just a normal guy. And then proceed to insult the fuck out of him. For what purpose?
Because
So
they
it's like,
hate that he's...
It's
Because the
antagonism.
same reason...
Sorry.
Because same reason weird nerds defend Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg.
It'd be an insult to Zuckerberg. Like, what is the point of that? It's like, I watched this before, and it's like, okay, I get the point, but I disagree on a couple of things, right? But I'm rewatching it now. It's just like, there's so many tiny things. I'm noticing, it's like, why is the tone like this? Your argument doesn't, like, follow at all. It's like, this is so weird.
VRchat is Graham's baby. It's the first job he ever had that lasted over 5 months. Not only that, but it's his first and only company, valued at hundreds of millions. Yet, what's so interesting is I just can't picture him using it in its current state. I can't picture Graham going onto VRchat and interacting, talking, and playing with other.
No. So he's saying, oh, I can't see him playing it in his current state, in his baby, right? But I still, that still doesn't justify the insulting. It's like, what?
Users. Because from everything that I've researched about him, from
He's
every
in a
video
B
I've
club
watched,
too, the most like
he is a normal guy.
Yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and look forward to seeing more.
I'm getting
about
mixed
and,
messaging
the
right now.
Motion, SDK. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
He's not like the general VRchat player base his own company has cultivated. But he must use the platform, right?
Same reason
It's
that
his
Mark
own
Zuckerberg
company.
isn't a boomer.
Surely he uses the platform. Surely he knows how depressed and lonely its player base is, how many children use it, and what vulgar content.
When people say the majority of the player base, I think at most it's 55, maybe 60. When I talk to people, they have this impression. It's like, oh, it's 90% of the player.
No.
Have you like stepped a foot in any public lobby whatsoever?
A bunch of mid-20-year-olds being depressing and sad.
Like, what do you expect? No, they're like making. I'm saying like specifically depraved or degenerate people, like people who are like make it a point to be like kinkier in VR. Like when I ask people, what is the percentage of people that you think makes up this area of the player base? The answers I get are so out of proportion of what I see and what I guarantee what other people see. It's like if you enter, I have like as I said, I have thousands of hours in the game. When you go in any public lobby, maybe 1 or 2, maybe 3, maybe 4, but but this isn't a lobby of like 40 people. Then you go to another one. Oh yeah, maybe 5 there. So I said maybe 50% of the player base, maybe. And you can make an argument of that being bad, but when I hear stuff like this, I feel like it paints a picture that isn't necessarily true about VRchat.
Festers in the walls of each world. Surely, right?
Especially if you play it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, everybody has these stories, but as I said, if it's like a certain amount of people in a lobby, that's still only a certain amount of the player base. Yes, you can say that it's bad, and I would agree. But to say that it's this huge thing is also misguided. And I feel like we need to recognize this to get anywhere in terms of the conversation of the game. Or the game's health in general. So frustrating.
Challenge! Hi!
Thank you, Maggie. Thank you, Gunter, for challenging me to the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge. I've got some stuff here. Turns out I don't actually have a bucket, but I got lots of ice.
Jesse is the other co-founder of VRchat. From what I found, it doesn't look like he's had any success running his own business before VRchat. However, he did register a company called Jespionage Entertainment 1 year prior. But
that was
from what I
for
can
tax
find
fraud,
online,
I already know
it
it.
never really went anywhere. Apart from that, he did work as a software engineer at EA for 5 years after finishing university.
Jespionage Entertainment?
Man, imagine.
Yeah. The LinkedIn description says, "Do you like fun? So do I. I want to have fun making games that are fun to play."
Crazy that he went from Jespionage Entertainment to VRchat.
The thing is, Jesse seems
I
even
hate this
more
guy.
normal
Can
than
you say
Graham.
anything of
Looking at
value?
clips from his
Say
YouTube
anything
channel,
of
he doesn't
value,
seem
please.
Dissimilar to your
Please.
usual middle-aged American
So,
family
like,
man.
he does
Start
a
of the
thing
challenge,
now
I have to choose
after
3
doing
people
another
to
thing?
select, and until he does.
No, so here's the thing. I don't know if you've watched much VRchat content, but he makes like good videos. Like
Viram?
yeah, that's his name.
Oh my god, I now know know you're talking about someone I've heard of.
And he's like, yeah, the way he expresses himself is cringe. Like, but he does good content. But when he's into this, he's just like a snarky bitch for no reason. Like, say something of value, please. I beg of you.
Does it? I continue to select Farmer Lucky. Plus, I also
Like, what
select
did you
my
do
partner in
to
VRchat,
add value to this
Graham
video?
Taylor,
Nothing.
And from Unity, Pete Moss. So, here we go.
Sorry. It's technically a nitpick, but like I have a specific annoyment with him.
Okay, so Jesse's a family man who worked for EA, and Graham worked for a mobile app company for 4 months. But from my knowledge, VRchat's first attempt to monetize its player base was in November of 2020, when they first launched the VRchat Plus subscription service. If VRchat was created in 2014, how did 2 middle-class guys keep the company from going bankrupt if it didn't make any money?
If we're just purely like basing off his like
Yeah,
appearance,
I've been thinking about
holy
that as
fuck,
well.
man.
And it
I
turns
have
out
issues
it's
with
quite
it,
an
but
interesting
whatever.
rabbit hole.
It's fine.
Unaware spectators of VRchat
it's
might
fine,
not
I guess.
realize just how many hands
A
are
bit
dipping into
cringe,
the
it's
booming
fine.
platform. Sure, the two founders, Graham and Jesse, once owned 100% of the company, But in 2024, things look a lot different.
This world
due
that
to
is cringe,
investing
that is
rounds.
acceptable.
So let's go through some of VRchat's
example-
financial
Boyfriend's
history.
webtoons.
On the 21st
Nah.
of January
For
2016,
example,
VRchat
2 adults in
Incorporated
one
decided to do
average.
something called debt financing.
Uh,
They borrowed
I
money
hate
from a
that.
lender
I
or
hate
a
it.
bank, which they would then have to
Have you read
repay
Boyfriend's
at a later
webtoon?
date
I
with interest.
haven't. I don't
Since
want
the
to
company
either.
went into debt to obtain more
I'm your
capital,
little meow
Graham
meow.
and Jesse retained their 100% joint
Please shut
ownership.
up.
Later that year, on October 4th, VRchat conducted a seed round of investing
Thank
to
you.
raise more capital for their growing platform.
Yeah,
4 different
yeah.
investors decided to take
Ew.
part, overall raising $1.2 million in return for an undisclosed amount of equity in the business, meaning Jesse and Graham are no longer the only people who own a part of VRchat.
So, how much percentage did the 4 investors take from
And this is why I want like internal documents. It's like if you want to make any claims of the morality of a company or what they're doing, right? What is their end goal, right? Their end goal is probably way more important than their current action. As I said, it could very much don't attribute malice where it could just be incompetence, right? And I don't think you've done enough to prove malice either. Because, as I said, the Lolicon, they're both adults. You can't prove it that there's anything bad. Right? And yeah, you can say, like, predators exist. They also exist on Facebook and Instagram. You would have to make a claim of how prevalent it is. Not this anecdote, right? It exists. Cool. Right? And this is, like, my main problem with this video. Right? Like,
We have
if you, like,
no
take little
clue
bits
how
and
much
pieces,
VRchat
it's
was
fine.
valued in October of 2016, so it's
As
impossible
a
to know
cohesive
exactly
unit,
how much
it falls
the two
apart
founders
quickly.
liquidated their ownership. The only thing we really know is that VRchat was still in its infancy, averaging less than 100 active players on Steam. But there is some more information about the seed round that's pretty interesting. The 4 companies that compiled the 1.2 million consist of Rothenberg Ventures, HTC, Brightstone Venture Capital, and Grieve VR Capital.
Wait, HTC? As in the people who made the original HTC Vive headset?
Oh boy,
that HTC.
what a slam dunk.
Yeah, well, who are the other guys?
To get into the other guys, we have to
So
understand the next round
VR
of funding
company
that
is interested
VRchat
in
undertook.
VR software.
After their successful seed
It's
round,
like, VRchat
decided to
I
do
feel
a
like you could just
Series
like
A
you could
round of
present
funding,
this knowledge
marking their
straightly
first
and it get to
significant
this.
round
It
of
would
investment,
hit the same.
cultivating
I
$4
feel
million. And
like there's
once
nothing
again,
wrong with what they're
liquidating
saying. It's
their
just like
shares by an
the way it's
unknown
being
amount.
presented is a bit
VRchat then took on a Series
extreme.
B and C round of funding,
Like, it's such
which
a
is
slam
estimated
dunk,
to have
man. It's
raised
really-
over $10 million.
it's like, oh boy.
This makes a lot of sense since their
It's a
player base has grown
bang-a-ling-a-doo-dah.
to around an average of 15,000
Yeah, I guess.
concurrent on Steam alone, not even including Quest users. But all of those previous rounds of investing wouldn't compare to the Series D funding that VRchat concluded on June 28th, 2021, which raised an enormous $80 million from 3 investors: Makers Fund, GFR Fund, and Anthos Capital. This series of funding that made headlines also gave us the current last known evaluation of VRchat Incorporated, which is $320 to $480 million. Judging from how many times VRchat raised capital from investors, we can take an educated guess and assume that Jesse and Graham no longer own the majority of VRchat, meaning they don't have full control of the company, and now it's likely that VRchat operates through a board of directors. PitchBook estimates that there are 7 VRchat board members, 5 of them being Graham Gaylor and Jesse Georgery, who co-founded VRchat,
They are 5 of them.
Jay
Sorry,
Chai, a founder
I'm
partner
supposed to.
of Makers Fund, Joseph Lin, the general manager of Viveport, aka HTC Software,
Never
and a
mind.
man named Praveen Gupta, who honestly is sort of a mystery man. We don't know too much about him, besides the
Just
fact he
another
used to
oiler.
work for SK Telecom, a South Korean telecommunications company. Granted, I'm sure the investors don't know the full extent
Okay,
of
that
what
sounds bad out
VRchat
of
is
context. An
compared to the
oiler
founders.
is somebody in a
For
ship's
them,
community
this is just
who
another
like
feather in their
funds
cap
meme
of
runs,
tens
like
or
they drop
hundreds
800
of other
$900 on
investments.
his stream just so he can do meme
Well, I
runs.
guess that could answer everyone's question of why Graham and Jesse are not active in the VR chat community or on social media.
Like, before I
They
get
might not be
canceled
as
here, let me
involved
be
in the
clear.
company as they once were.
Maybe, but I doubt it. Graham is still employed by VRchat as the CEO. It's still his job to run the company. The only difference is now, he has to answer to a board of directors that might care more about the bottom line than anything else. But that's all just speculation.
Yeah, that's how
The
companies
point
work.
is, VRchat is
Yeah,
now a corporate
that's how my
entity,
company works.
and blame cannot be just put on one man. We have to hold the company accountable, not a single person.
Alright. I get
I
it.
agree, I agree.
But why aren't you showing them that podcast clip?
What podcast clip?
Come
What
on, man.
podcast
You
clip?
know the podcast clip. Don't play dumb now.
I hate this guy. I hate the way this guy presents. It's fine. It's just cringe, please.
The one where...
Yes, the one where Jesse and Graham completely themselves.
It's really shallow on my end. I know it is.
The
But
thing
holy
is,
fuck.
although we can't blame Jesse or Graham for the current state of VRchat, we can blame them for how it got there. You see, despite us telling you all this information and all these horrible things that happen on VRchat, there is technically no way we can prove that the CEOs are actively avoiding fixing the issue other than showing you their radio silence on the situation. We cannot prove that
Or maybe it's not their job and they need to hire people to do that job.
I mean, that's the Board of Safety, right? And they said, okay, they feel like the Board of Safety and stuff are compromised because they have values that may not align with me, right? For example, the kinky stuff within, like, adults, right? Or, like, as I said, lolicons to adults doing ERP as child adorning avatars, as they put it earlier. Which when they say stuff like situation and like they're making it out to seem like way bigger than it is, but what they've really proved is that there is a set of users that either are that have some moderator privileges that engaged in like freaky activities as adults between adults.
So adults
I'm
were
not
doing
fond.
adult things. So adults were being adults.
Sort of. Like, the reason why they say that's a bad issue, right, is because, it's marketed towards kids, right? 13-year-olds. But the main thing with this, right, I think their strongest point is with VRchat family and groups. Those are their strongest points in this entire video. But they don't, like, harp on that as much as they really should. Like, VRchat groups are in a terrible state. They really are. And I would agree. And they even make that claim, right? And VRchat families are just like a way to like groom. But they don't put into perspective on how big of a problem that is. They just say, this exists. Cool. Now what? How big of a problem is it? Like, we can say, this is a thing here, here, and here. Right? There's no way you can, like, this is the kind of stuff that you would need to be, like, on the ground to see. And as somebody with 3,000 hours and a lot of experience talking with people on the game, right, and about their experiences.
Adjust your glasses, nerd.
Yeah. I would, like, say that it's probably not as big as it's being made out to be. Yes, these people probably shouldn't be in moderator positions. I agree. Yes, that is sort of cringe. But as they're about to show in this podcast clip, it is serving an underlying group, like, goal.
Is this guy asking the CEO to take off, like, Discord moderators or, like, actual...
community
VRchat
trust and safety
moderators?
people, Tupper and Box are moderators. Because they engage in, like, lolicon stuff, basically.
Gotcha.
And I feel like I can use the exact same clip they're making to argue for, or like, this is why this is happening. This is where it's going to go in the future. This is why you probably shouldn't be as like on your soapbox as you probably should.
VRchat
right?
was designed
You'll
to
see what
be
I
the
mean.
way it is, with its sex dungeons, bestiality, and all its other adult degenerate content. It's an impossible task.
Unless
Well, unless we just so happen to find an 8-year-old podcast clip where the founders of VRchat,
I watched this
Georgie
entire podcast,
and
by the way. They're really good
discuss
podcast.
exactly what their views on adult content are in a game they created and peddled to children above the age of 13.
Oh boy.
The podcast clip you're about to hear is from a SoundCloud upload of the Enter VR podcast, titled Harnessing the Power of Social VR, with Jesse Georgie.
I just want to note something too. This is an 8-year-old clip. This could say something to the internal companies as it was forming, but you can't really use this clip as like much of anything because how old it is. Their goals as a company may have completely shifted. You have no idea, right? And it really is a frustrating thing.
And Graham Gaylor, uploaded in August of 20.
But as I said, I can use this exact clip to make a completely like opposite argument, right? And I'll show you what I mean.
Is there are you drawing the line at anything in terms of content, Jesse and Graham? Are you guys drawing it like can I have my own sex dungeon room in VRchat and have all sorts of animal sex?
I just love the way he asked this question, by the way, because you can hear him muster up the courage to ask it. He's like, how do I word this? So fuck.
You know, rabbit on horse.
He's like, I don't want to sound like I want this, but
custom content platform, it's actually really difficult to prevent that. What we really want to do is we want to have a safe place for people to visit without really limiting people's freedoms also. What we'd like to have is good moderator controls and stuff like that. And if you're going to build something that is, you know, risque in any way or so somebody might find offensive, then we want to give you the ability to flag it and say, yeah, you know, this isn't for everybody. Or to password your room so that only people you invite in can go. And we also want to give other users the ability to say, you know, I don't want to see that stuff, and so I don't have to.
So,
but it's a user-generated platform, and you know, people have been making that stuff as long as they've been building user-generated content.
Right.
So we couldn't stop it, but we just wanted to have a safe place for people to be too.
You know what they're saying there? Moderator controls, like and stuff like this. If you look at VRchat now, they have like filter gore, filter sexual stuff. They have this as an option currently. As I said, this is a fair argument to make at the time, but I wouldn't say so anymore. Age verification is becoming a thing. Even within worlds, the labeling of worlds is very, very important. There's many worlds that if you go in, you know what to expect. For example, a B club. B club is almost exclusively has a sexual reputation for a reason. If you go in there, I guarantee it'll take you 3 minutes to find somebody with a name like Cum Slut or something. It's like really, really extreme stuff. But that's the expectation going into that world, right? Every world has a different expectation going in, and the second you get in, you'll note it pretty quickly. And with as I said, with what VRchat is doing, they're doing things to make sure you can filter your experience yourself, right? So when you're saying like, oh, this clip is oh yeah, they're not going to do anything about this stuff. They think it's A-okay. They don't think it's degenerate. They don't think it's harmful.
Is that how they were trying to use this clip?
I feel like
I took your point away from it instead of whatever they were trying to say.
It's like they're trying to use this clip as like a thing. It's like, oh yeah, they're not going to do anything about this, right? I don't think that's what they're saying. And that's not even to say that this doesn't even go into any of the company policy. You would need to know what's going on in the company to say anything about this clip whatsoever. It's. I'm not going to say it's a dishonest reading of like the interview. I don't think it is. I can see if you believe this thing to be as bad of a problem as they do, that you can take this away from it.
If you're like a Puritan Christian mother, you'd be like, "Oh no, you can't have a sex dungeon in VR chat or blah blah blah." But like,
Yeah, no. Their point is that it should be a 13 plus game. Period. Full stop. They should be more like Epic Games, right? But that's not what it's trying to be, even by CEO standards.
Mel speaks and I listen.
That was a fast bathroom
I
break.
think this podcast clip speaks for itself. It's
It's-
only today that
Yes,
we
it
can see
does.
the repercussions of this line of thinking from the founders. It's no surprise that letting 13-year-old children moderate themselves isn't going to work. This
Did he say that there was going to be a 13-year-old moderator? Like,
moderating themselves. So they
Right.
introduced groups, I think in 2021, I think. I could be completely wrong about this. So this is way before all of this. Like, yeah, you can say maybe a 13-year-old can create a group and moderate themselves. Yeah. What do you think the average player base of VR chat is? You just said a majority of them are degenerate. So what is it? Are they 13-year-olds or are they a bunch of degenerates online, adults?
and if the 13-year-old was in a moderator position for the group, then they would have to basically make the room.
That too. It's like, my frustration with this video isn't that they're saying something that is fundamentally wrong. They're not. Having 13-year-olds not being monitored and not like knowing what to expect going into certain worlds or not having things flicked on, right, is a problem. It can cause harm. And we see that with like predators. They are on the game. We see them. We pointed out multiple creators that call them out. Virum is a creator that calls them out. Ergblaw is a creator that calls them out. And that's good. It really is. But then you say it as like bro. It's
This line of
frustrating. It's very
thinking is how you
frustrating.
get a thriving adult film
predators.
industry on the back of a supposedly kid-friendly platform. And this line of thinking is why VR chat is the way it is today.
I just can't believe, even 8 years ago, their response to sex dungeons and bestiality ERP was, "We want to create a safe space for
I just want to say
everyone."
base to
And
that because it
while
is.
even
They
people
want a
who
wide
sit in
demographic.
such
It's meant to
acts
be a
alone
metaverse, basically like a metaverse.
Everything is starting
It's the
to make
metaverse
more
before
sense
Facebook
now.
did it.
We are so close to the full picture. All of the people who help create the culture and code of VR chat get something out of it in a weird way. The moderators and developers become celebrities in a culture they already subscribe to, a culture they feel at home in. But the founders, the guys at the top, their motives behind wanting VR chat to remain the way it is, well, it's something I've struggled to wrap my head around for a while. I couldn't for the life of me understand why two normal guys would see the state of their platform and not want to make a change, like bumping up the age limit to 18 plus and changing the way VR chat is marketed. I just couldn't understand. Until a friend introduced me to the final piece of the puzzle. A little something called Metcalfe's Law.
I feel like VR chat's kind of like scary.
What do you mean?
Meeting people is scary.
I mean, yeah, for sure. From what I've heard, if you're like a really socially anxious person, it can help you a lot though, because you have no expectations, right? If you are like a 600-pound Discord moderator, nobody will know. So you can people can judge you based on how you act.
We know. No, we know. We know.
No, I'm only a 200-pound Discord moderator.
At least I'm closer to 300 than I am 400 now.
You get my point though. You get my point, right? It's like anonymity provides a shield for users to express themselves in any way they feel free. It is great. It's cool. I think that's great.
I think it's
like,
good. I was just like,
it's the beauty of the
I
internet,
haven't
man.
used it much.
Show me the incentive, and I'll show you the outcome.
Is
We
VR
know
chat
the outcome
free or
of
do you
what
have to buy
VR
it?
chat has created,
It's free.
but I've yet to understand the
That's what I thought.
incentive of why it remains the way it is, with no pushback from investors and founders.
I am also not okay. This is the thing. I don't agree that people are coming in from VR chat promotionals. Nobody cares. People come in through content. People like James Key seeing gameplay of the game. Word of mouth. So, like, this is how people get in. They don't get in. So, people who are coming in are more likely to be the player that the culture likes. You know, which isn't necessarily 13-year-olds. You're going to see more 15 to 16-year-olds than you're going to see 13-year-olds on VRchat. That's just the nature of how it's marketed through content, through word of mouth. Like, I don't even subscribe to that it is marketing towards 13-year-olds. I don't even subscribe to that. Like, maybe on, like, a Steam front page way of things. But it's more complicated than that.
Until now. Verum, you're gonna love this. You paying attention?
Yeah, hit me.
What's with this, like, side character BS?
Okay, so that's Verum. That's Verum. He does Predator content. He actually makes really good content. But he's just really cringe in the way he, like, does his content. That's all, like,
I was gonna say, is it in the way he does his content, or is it just how this guy scripted his part of the video?
No, that's him. That's him, not him.
In 1980,
That's Verum, not
Robert
this
Metcalf,
Brandon
the man
here.
who contributed
I
to the
guarantee he's
creation
doing
of
that
the
of his
internet
own
and
volition.
co-developed Ethernet.
If you watch his
set out to
content, it's the
create
same
a
thing.
mathematical model that could calculate the financial value of a network. This
And I believe he has him on for basically, like, cred. Like, this guy hunts predators. I'm here to do the same thing.
Model is often been
think that's what it's
illustrated using
about.
a diagram of telephone.
Some propaganda shit.
A single telephone is useless, but as the quantity grows, so does the value of each individual telephone. This is exactly why this law has been used to evaluate financial instruments such as Bitcoin and Ethereum, or social apps like TikTok and Twitter. The more people use these platforms or currencies, the more value they have.
I'm following, but I don't really see how this helps our case. Obviously, the more players VRchat has, the more money it's worth.
Right, of course. But for a company like VRchat, its player base is its everything. Companies that follow a similar business structure will be expected to not turn a profit for years.
Bro, my polygons are so sexy. You have no idea.
It's why the biggest streaming site in the world, Twitch.tv, is still not profitable to this day.
Well then, what's the point of that? If the business isn't profitable, why keep it up and running?
When VRchat goes to investors who are looking to pump money into their platform, they'll use some level of Metcalf's law to evaluate how much money their company is worth. And Metcalf's law doesn't really care how profitable your business currently is. It really only cares about how many telephones are in circulation. More users, more money for VRchat, even if they aren't currently making a profit. Which, as we established, they are not.
Ah, I see. So that's how VRchat raised the 80 million from investors.
See, now we're getting somewhere. So let me ask you something. What is the best way to fix VRchat's safety problem?
I don't know, maybe increase the age rating to 18 plus, embrace its adult content, maybe change the marketing of the game to be more open and honest about what the platform is. And for f***'s sake, have a functioning moderation team so that these kids stop getting groomed.
Right. I'm inclined to agree, so let's play out that scenario using Metcalf's law. An estimated 30% of VRchat's player base is under 18, correct?
So this is something I would love to see internal stats on. As I said before, I'm not even subscribing to the fact that they're marketing towards like 13-year-olds because how people get into the game more often than not is content. Not through this Steam front page, not through this stream front page. I'm grabbing water so I can finish this point. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's so much better.
Your sense organs dictate what you think about.
Okay, so I don't even subscribe to the fact that VRchat is marketing towards 13 plus only, right? How do people get into a game? People often see their favorite YouTuber play their game. They play it. How do you think most of the popular games on Steam got popular? Like, I'll give you an example of a game I've been playing like obsessively recently, Balatro, right? Streamers started playing that. More streamers started playing it. And then it's word of mouth. Word of mouth is what markets games nowadays. It's not your Steam storefront. So if you look at the content of VR chat now, I would say that it's probably more like tuned to like 15, 16-year-olds. And this is why I said I really want to see the internal documents of the company, right? If we take Metcalfe's Law, right? If they made the game 16 plus, would it affect the game's health? I don't know.
Not long term.
I don't
believe
think
it would affect it long term.
Yeah, I don't think it would, because this is something I'm gonna use this line again. Like, think back to the last time you were on VR chat, right? When was the last time you saw a child? Right?
When's the last time you saw a child?
Yeah.
That sounds like the start of one of those like "In the Arms of an Angel" commercials.
For me personally, I get on
right in front of you.
I get on around 6 p.m. and 10 p.m. I get on midnight, like midnight to late night, and most of the time it's once in a blue moon. Or if I do see children, it's like at 4, and then it lasts for like 30 minutes and they're gone.
I'm sorry, the way you make
people
this
treat children differently.
That too.
in real
Everybody
life
laughs
and
at them and
VR
tells
chat.
them to get off too. The second you do see a child, it's like, why are you here? Get off. Get off. Can I talk to your parents? Get off. It's like, hey, kitty, do you want to come into my sex dungeon? Like that happens maybe one. I'm gonna make a hard claim. Maybe 1 in 100,000, right? Or no,
and
not
it's never
100,000.
that upfront.
1 in 50,000. Sorry, that's probably a more accurate thing. Like, it's really awful if it happens, but I think structurally and like from the community end of VR chat, I don't think it's nearly as big of a problem as they're making it out to be, right? And if we take their own point from them, right? There's other ways you can do this.
Oh, my money.
I'll let it continue.
With the last recorded user base of over 7.8 million, implementing an age restriction on the platform would alienate upwards of 2.3 million users.
Good, fuck them kids.
Holy shit. That's a lot of telephones. I guess that would also mean that the company's value decreases by 30%.
Exactly. Possibly even more. In other words,
So it is about money.
seeing as VR chat was valued
about
at
money.
300.
This is also another
Every
thing.
war.
I don't know if
That's
you're
the
here for this.
revolutionary
I don't know if you're here for this segment. The statistics segment is their proof was this one guy did a survey of 1,000 people. We tried looking it up when we first watched the video. Didn't find shit. So these numbers they're saying, we only can take their word on it. I would love to see this spreadsheet this guy has. I want to know how many children are on this game. What about 13-year-olds? What about 14-year-olds? The demographic you're saying is going to be most affected, right? Like, you're not making a positive claim for this, right? Like, if what you're saying is true, I would agree what you're saying it should happen. Or, like, but you just haven't made the claim, and I don't think it's real either. I don't think it's supported in reality either.
$20 to $480 million, making a change to alienate a part of its core player base and removing 30% of the telephones results in the company's overall value decreasing by over $100 million. A decrease so large, it could stunt the company's growth in ways we can't even predict. Not to mention the backlash they would receive from the investors that just poured $18 million into their company.
Okay, so clearly as a business, alienating the child player base isn't an option. So let's try the other way. Hypothetically, what if VR chat had proper moderation tools, no NSFW avatars or worlds, and crafted a safe experience for the children by handpicking content, making VR chat the 13th...
Yeah, this is what I was saying earlier. They want it to be like Epic Games. That's what they want. But that's not what that's not what the company wants. That's not what it's trying to be. It's trying to be like a metaverse. It's trying to be accessible for everybody. And you can say they're being incompetent while doing that. I'd probably agree with you. They've sort of stumbled their way into their position now. But that doesn't mean they're evil people.
Think about it in terms of like analog VR chat to the real world. Like, there are sex dungeons in the real world. And there are people...
Oh yeah, I love my sex dungeons analog.
Yeah, but VR chat isn't the real world. That would be the argument.
And they're wrong. But like, this is like them getting mad at the police because pedophilia still exists.
I mean, to be fair, you can say VR chat is in real life. There's other examples where, as I said, they can actually adequately pander to their player base if their player base is genuinely 13 plus.
Yeah.
Plus experience they've been marketing this whole time. Would that fix the issue?
It's the next logical solution, but
They
that
could
would
probably
be
make it
even more
21
financially
plus and still
detrimental
not
to the
lose half their
company than the
player
former
base.
option. VRchat has built its culture
The
and
weird thing
core
is if
player
it was
base
16 plus, it'd
around
be
adult
hard to,
content.
like,
Drinking, erotic
like,
roleplay, and
actually
partying are such a huge
verify.
part of the game. Failing to
Also,
meet
if you
the
become an
needs of the
alcoholic because you saw
70% adult
alcohol
player
in
base
VRchat, you're
would
too
result
weak-willed.
in an even larger substantial loss of users.
There's actually, I read a paper on this actually. I'm a fucking nerd. I'm so sorry. VR social drinking actually is very interesting because since you're in a virtual space and you don't have the social inhibitions that, say you're in a bar, right? There's some social expectations you have at a bar that in VR isn't necessarily there. So when you see somebody drinking, all right, I'm gonna drink too, fuck yeah, dude. But there's no limits at this point. A bar would set a limit for you, or you don't want to make yourself look like a fool in front of other people. In this case, you can just take off your headset. All right, now I'm in a private space completely. Not a soul in the
Yeah,
next
then you're
like
just a fool in
10
front of yourself.
tri-state area can see me, and then I'm gonna puke on the floor, get back on VR chat. Fuck yeah, let's continue partying. You know, it's a much different thing.
So they're
Yeah.
literally drinking in the game and also in real life at the same time.
Yeah, people drink IRL with each other in VR.
Oh.
Oh. Also,
I'm
Now
gonna
the
continue. I'm gonna continue. We're almost done with this
company
video.
wouldn't be losing 100 million. It would be losing multiple hundreds of millions. This is the result of trying to satisfy
face-
two very different
nice face
audiences.
reveal, bro.
Honey would
Nice
be
face reveal, bro.
losing 100 million. It would
Right
be
up there,
losing
right in the corner.
That's all I'm gonna
hundreds of
say.
millions.
Bro looks
This
like
is
a
the result
Brandon.
of trying
He
to
really does
satisfy
look
two
like a
very
Brandon.
different audiences. Horny adults
looks like a,
and innocent
Joshua.
children.
Really? I'd say I'm math,
you're saying
maybe.
they're fucked?
Kind of.
At least he
I'm
doesn't look like a
honestly not sure.
Smelvin.
So, what's the
Smeldon?
outcome?
Really?
What is the end game?
There's a reason people want to wake up in VR chat. There is a reason people log on
Imagine
for
your mom
hours
naming
every
you
day.
Base.
And there's a reason I'm addicted to documenting
Your
its
mom naming you
existence.
Smelvin is not based.
Show me the incentive.
And that's a respect.
and
You
I'll
have
show
respect to the
outcome.
thing.
The incentive for players when it comes to a platform like VRchat is infinite anonymity in the first ever true virtual reality metaverse. The outcome is a secret world of degeneracy.
Yo, we got the metaverse before we got the
Did it
metaverse.
have to be this way? Brandon?
I think it's more complicated than a secret world of degeneracy.
I mean, yeah, but it wants to be punchy, you know?
Yeah.
But he wants to, like, yeah, mic drop. That's what you're going for.
I do like this this intro, like what's it called, like
Style.
this screen right here.
Fair enough.
Aesthetic.
Yeah, aesthetic.
Dear
One
VR
thing
chat.
is
I think I
certain.
was going for the term
VRchat's
intermission
impact on the
screen.
future of VR socialization will be substantial. It's carved out the first blueprint for future platforms to
Feels like
follow,
Marble Hornets.
and that's why it's so important to understand its issues. Because one day, it's not going to be a terminally online internet dweller with a virtual persona that's sleeping and eating in virtual reality. It will be your kid. Your kid will be stumbling into a vivid Las Vegas,
My kid is not gonna be
rife
playing
with
VR
degenerate
chat.
content
I'm gonna
that
make
no
sure my kid
child
plays
should be
Luigi's
exposed to,
Revenge.
especially in virtual
You're
reality.
gonna indoctrinate your
So,
children?
dear
Cool.
VRchat developers,
Yes.
founders,
Yes,
and
I am.
investors, I'm gonna put
Because
this
one
as
day they're
simply
gonna
as I
they're gonna
possibly
go,
can.
Prof,
Look at what you have
what's
created.
speedrunning?
Look back at the statistics we discovered
I'm
about
gonna
your
tell
player
you,
base.
once you go
How
down the
your
path, you
platform
can't
is
stop.
a magnet for mentally ill users. Look at how many players have created.
I agree with that. As VR chat, what is the incentive of getting into VR chat? Ask yourself that. Okay, they see it from content. All right, they get into the game. Right? Let's say you're a lonely person. you're just gonna like meet other lonely people. You're gonna form a real friendship. That's a real person on the other side of the screen. So at a certain point, this, if you have no other forms of socialization, and you have a game and a screen behind it, if you're aware of what game addiction is or how screen addiction starts, stuff like this is a great catalyst for it. There's going to be a point where you don't even need to socialize to be in the VR world anymore because you're addicted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For like VR chat specifically, it is sort of a magnet for like these lonely people. Would I say mentally ill? Maybe not. Maybe some. But lonely
Look
would
back
be
at
the
the
word that I'd
statistics
use.
we discovered
Very
about
lonely
your
people.
player base. How your platform is a magnet for mentally ill users. Look at how many players have had sexual experiences. Even your own players are saying VRchat's culture encourages the use of alcohol and drugs due to the huge rave and drinking scene that's so rampant in the walls of your
I don't know enough about the rave scene to comment on that.
creation. Look at the degenerate culture your decisions have spawned. Mirror dwellers, in-game sleeping, VR families, a genre of adult content.
What's wrong with mirror dwelling? Wait, you haven't even... This is the first time it's been brought up this entire hour and a half video.
Apps, functioning strip clubs.
Same with dating apps. Bro... Bro, why are they bad? You're just saying them and expecting the user to agree with you.
Those
And
Reddit
virtual
ads that are like,
prostitution.
Starting to think
Look at the
male for
moderators that were
female,
supposed to take care of the
24, meet me on
300,000 member
VRchat, you
VRchat
can get,
Discord server.
frisky.
And while you're at it,
What did you say, Izumi?
Nothing. I just said a meme.
and virtual prostitution. Look at the moderators that were supposed to take care of the 300,000 member VRchat Discord server. And while you're at it, look at the very people you employ. Look at Eliza's story. Look at how your creation is constantly used as a tool for predators. So many children are groomed through your platform specifically because of its lack of moderation and ease of access to the young children you market to. I understand this is an impossible thing to stop completely, but at least other platforms attempt to make it harder to happen. Your platform was built on a false ideology that the players should self-moderate. This is a flawed system when you're asking that of a 13-year-old kid.
Why is a 13-year-old kid getting on? Their mother, their father got on VR. Not got on. Or like they learned of this. It's like, okay, cool. Fuck yeah, dude. It is the parent's responsibility. The child is not monitoring, it's the parent. It should be the parent.
Yeah.
I feel like that is a flawed argumentation in the most nerdy way I could say that.
You have created one of the most creatively freeing platforms, with some of the most talented creators making never-before-seen 3D worlds and experiences. Yes, you have innovated the ever-so-stagnant social media sector, and clearly, investors agree that the concept of your business is incredible, and so do I. However, that does not change the reality of the situation. In creating the first VR metaverse, you have also, unsurprisingly, created an unsafe platform for children due to the culture of VRchat. To fix the situation you have put yourself in, you have to pick a side, even if it's going to lose you money on your company's evaluation in the short term. Are you a platform for all ages, or are you making an unmoderated anything-goes experience for adults? This distinction is so important for parents like Eliza, who cannot...
You say all ages, right? These things can exist in the same realm, and that's the fucking frustrating thing. When you say metaverse, right? This is a metaverse, right? This thing is going to exist. And from how I understand it, right? Especially with VRchat clubs, is they do, at least some do, have some... They have like lists of people who are like predators and shit, right? This is in the club scene. In terms of just like VRchat, like company side, I already made the claim that like stuff like age restriction or age verification, sorry, and self-moderation, like filter gore, filter this, stuff like this. If the children are getting on, it's a parent's responsibility to see this stuff. It's like,
I think these people, this type of person isn't going to be happy until there's zero grooming stuff going on at all, which is a unrealistic expectation.
No, I don't
but I
think that's
also
true.
agree. I agree that like that's what you want to shoot for, but like I feel like it's unrealistic.
I don't think I agree with you because it's said very clearly. It's like at least some places try to do something to stop it. And at the time,
I only watched like half the video, so I might be wrong.
he just said that. It is fine. At the time of this video being made, I feel like that's a much more pertinent argument to be made. June 21st, right? Because the age verification stuff this came like a month or two ago. I think at the time of creation, this is a more valid argument. I still feel like I could make these counter arguments even then, even say no age verification is a thing, right? How do these worlds market themselves? How are children getting their VR headsets? What is the philosophy behind why they are doing these kinds of things, right? It is a parent's job to make sure their children are safe. When a company is providing you tools to filter certain programs or for certain worlds, you should take that opportunity, right? It's the same thing why iPad kids are bad. It's not the company's job. It is the parents. And I feel like that's being lost in translation somewhere here. And it's very frustrating. There's some things you can do even outside of this, right? Let's say you wanted it to be exactly like Epic Games or Fortnite, whatever. Then what he's saying would be accurate. But it's not what he's trying to be.
Not find out the true nature
frustrating.
of your
So
platform
frustrating.
because of your disingenuous and misleading marketing. Every day, the world is getting closer and closer to VR mass adoption. Sure, not everyone is going out to buy the $3,500 Vision Pro, but once that piece of technology is just $500, I think you'll struggle to find a household without at least one headset. If this is the case, VR socialization will become the new normal. The question is, will VRchat be the first big player to break through into the mainstream? From what we've seen so far regarding the company, they might implode or fall behind before they get there.
I just like to know
if this is the road
VRchat
we're
usually
going
has
down,
100,000
I hope the
concurrent
next
players.
platform doesn't have VRchat's culture, moderation, philosophies, player base, lack of age restriction, and care. I hope they aren't as blind as VRchat, don't falsely advertise their experience. I hope they do something good with their millions of dollars in investing. I hope they don't employ the same degenerates who live in their game, and I hope they try to get things right. I hope they make a platform that's nothing like VRchat.
I feel like if I were to make this video, same premise, right? VRchat is bad. It should be more like Epic Games. It should pander to this 13+ crowd. I feel like I would do it in a much different way. Because what they did is they tried to personalize it with an anecdote. They said these things are dubious at best and sort of kinky and isn't conducive to 13+ moderation. The reason why they have it is because if they don't, they're going to lose a significant amount of their money. Right? That's the argument. If I would make the same argument, I would say, I would keep the moderation stuff. Like, yeah, moderators, if you're trying to be a 13+ game, this isn't how you do that. However, within worlds, I would look at worlds specifically, because within worlds, as I said earlier, worlds have specific expectations applied to them. For example, B Club is a very hypersexualized place, right? And that's because people expect that. The group publics are based around these sexy things, in quotes. So when I would be making the same argument, if I were to be try to make it stronger, I would say, look at these worlds, right? They market they market even these like crazy things, right? For example, I have one of these a pie shock, right? This is something some worlds advertise, specifically furry worlds. And how is it advertised in the website? How is it advertised in the world as a kinky thing for like brats and stuff like that? That's what it's meant for. More times than not. That's how I'd make this argument stronger. Or in like the Midnight Rooftop would be another great example of this. Would be
How many cigarettes do you fucking smoke? Holy shit.
I'm sorry, bro. I can't control it. Never
They
met.
got on the Virginia Slims early.
Yeah, never met, right? This is openly advertised in the Midnight Rooftop. They have like a little dog that follows you around with a never met collar. It's adorable. What is never met? A dating app for VR chat. Why is it bad?
A dating app in and of itself.
No, it's specifically for VR chat. You can't post real pictures. And most of the time it promotes, hey, you should go on VR chat and meet this person. So you see them as their personality or whatever their marketing is. It's really, I think it's weird. Personally.
Why was the pie shock out?
But I was making a point.
I wanted some Virginia Slims and I need
Yeah, like if I was making this argument for them in a stronger way, I'd point out worlds, right? They make a really weak point with like, VR chat families, right? They exist, okay? Why are they bad, right? And I went on a tangent on that earlier for like 10 minutes of why it's bad. Probably less than that. It's probably like 3. It doesn't take that much extra effort to realize why it's bad. Or VR chat prostitution. Like, that is a real thing. Like, you go into a public world, right? You'll be able to find it eventually. It's much less, like, it's more rare than, say, somebody with a ERP group, which I think is, as I said before, is a really good point they made. But it exists.
Wait, do people pay real money for VR chat prostitutes?
Yes.
Yes.
What do you get out of it?
VR chat
The girlfriend
sex.
experience, baby.
Yeah, VR chat sex is what you get out of it. Or a cuddle sesh. Or like spending an hour with this person. It's like
Cuddles if you're lucky, bro. I would not cuddle someone after fucking VR prostitution.
I hope you all took something away from this that was productive. Outside of that, there's going to be more content in the future around VR chat in specific. In the meanwhile, you could always watch my Wizard 1 content or Learn to Fly content. It's not really going to be the same to this kind of stuff, but hey, I still think it's cool. Goodbye.